the People's Podcast. What's up, y'all? This is DJ BuzzB, and today is JKD's birthday. So yeah, he's not gonna he's not gonna be here today. We all want to say a very special and heartfelt happy birthday to our brother, the co-host of the People's Podcast, my brother from another, JKD. A happy birthday. So everybody, you didn't do it last week. Right now, I want you to go in the comments right now, and type happy birthday, JKD. How much times did I say that last podcast? Like 3 different times in the podcast, and only like 2 people said happy birthday. I know more of y'all than 2 are listening. Go type happy birthday, JKD. Thank you. We want to wish JKD happy birthday. But right now, people, we are welcoming to the People's Podcast an intellectual brother, DJ, a podcast host himself, and he's hosted multiple podcasts in his past. Genuine person, one of the people I was the happiest to meet in the quarantine. None other than Shomari KRL, aka
Redymix DMT.
As the hat says. What's going on, bro?
I'm good. Let's do this.
Blessings. All the way from Trinidad and Tobago.
All the way from Trinidad, bro.
You came far for the podcast, you know.
You know, before we start here, I was telling you, there's something that we need to do.
Okay.
That we could not do before, right?
Yeah.
No. I have to say, today is important for one reason. One reason I could think of off the top of my head, which is why we go and do this just now.
Yeah.
17th of November, 2020. Do you know what that is?
17th of November 2020. I have no clue.
So, ladies and gentlemen, the 17th of November 2020 was when this brother reached out to me the first time and said, yo, I'm having my, what was known as the Pre-Line podcast.
Yeah.
I've been seeing what you're doing, and I want to have you on my show. He's like, yeah, cool.
He's more prepared than me. You know?
Yeah. So, no, listen, I'm married. If there's one thing anybody knows about me,
Receipts,
I have one.
yeah.
I have one.
Receipts.
I have my receipts.
I just saying I have a few too, you know. But I have to keep back up.
It's too early. It's too early. Anyhow, all I'll say is that this us sitting down here is like 2 years in the making.
Wow.
So because of that, we have to crack a bottle of depression.
So that's why you're saying I couldn't just open it just
No, you couldn't just open it just so. When you open it, you have to open it next to mic. You have to so that when we have the episode, everybody hears the crack. Yes, sir. What is that? Hear that crack?
Hear that, y'all?
Hear that?
The finest of the fine.
Finest of the fine.
Angostura. White oak.
White oak. 1919.
Had me hugging many a toilet in my
You need
time.
to take some of that. Take some of that. We saying cheers to.
Matter of fact, I'll take a double shot for that.
No, I'm taking a double shot.
I am. It's celebration. We'll talk about that in a bit.
Celebration. We celebrating this. Right?
I'm celebrating life.
Yeah, we celebrating life and opportunity and the fact that good things happen. So cheers to that.
That's a fact, bro. Cheers.
To that.
Thank you so much. So, people, this is about to be and it clears your throat right up. And I took a double.
You sure this is Angostura?
No, I bought it in Montreal, though, you know.
Rum Blanc.
Yeah.
All right.
Exactly,
all right,
yeah. I got you. Anyway, people, we have a very special guest here today on the show. Once again, we'd like to welcome Shomari KRL. Now, in both of your names, to start, there's Shomari KRL. So you have 2 names that you're known by. Shomari KRL and Redymix DMT. So you have acronyms attached to both names.
Right.
Let's talk about that first.
All right. Which one we going first? Redymix or Shomari?
I would say Redymix.
All right. Redymix DMT. As I always like to tell people, if you allow me the time to just give a short story.
Yeah.
Back in 2008, I remember at that point in time, I was going to name a Redymix sound system. I hated that. It was actually Redymix sound machine. And everybody's like, what machine does sound like? So, it's like, cricket. But it's yo. So this is the true story here. So I actually wanted to come up with a different name. And I'm the type of person, I'm not the individual that will sit down and just come up with something like that. This has to be inspiration that will come at random times. And I remember 3 o'clock in the morning, I was looking at TV. Do ask me what I was looking at. But I was looking at TV at 3 o'clock in the morning.
What they call it, blues? There's only one thing you could be watching on
Cartoon
TV.
Network.
Oh.
At 3 o'clock, no, but seriously, 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And this ad came on TV where the U.S. government was saying at the point in time, hey, we're going to move from analog TV, which was like the rabbit ears on your TV, and we're going to move to something called digital transmission television, which was basically supposed to be TV in digital sense. And I was like, if I take all the transmission, I can actually put music. So it was actually digital music transition. Because at that point in time, that is when Serato was now coming on the scene and everybody was moving away from CDs and records traditionally. So that is where the DMT came from. So it's actually Redymix Digital Music Transmission, or DMT, right? KRL has to go with a partner, Kenneth London, who died back in 2010. Kenneth was part of Redymix since 2001. He was a big part of my DJ evolution because even when I started working at the college that I was at, he was working at the college as well too, and he helped me build that name that became so synonymous at the point in time. So when he passed away, unfortunately, back in 2010, I was trying to think of a way that I could honor what he did for me and just to keep that memory of him. And one of the things I try to do by anything I'm doing, whether it's conversation, podcast, whether it's just talking to somebody, you want to be able to reach somebody a different way. So KRL actually means constantly reaching lives. It's not obviously C, but constantly reaching lives with a K. And KRL, which was Kenneth Redymix London, which is my way of always remembering how he contributed to me. So,
beautiful. And I love hearing stories that are attached to an actual meaningful past, if you know what I mean. And that's beautiful because that's really what we do as entertainers. I wouldn't even classify it just DJs in terms of what we do because you know us, we do media. And we do touch many lives just based off of the work that we put in.
And I was talking to a boy about us being, what we doing here. It's kind of like what Draymond Green talks about with the Golden State Warriors, us being in new media. Because there are a lot of people on the outside who look at what we do. It's like, yo, I could go and pick up a computer and start to play like BuzzB tomorrow and mash up dance and it's nothing to do that. But a lot of people don't understand the work that goes into this. It's a lot of hard work that goes into it, a lot of sacrifice, a lot of mental health work that goes into this. And if you really were able to sit and have a conversation properly with any one of us and understand the long hours, the challenges that we face, you might actually sit down and say, no, it's probably not as easy as I thought it was. So that's why I'm glad there are things like the new media now. This is new media where we now get to not just talk about the experiences of Witch Gal and JKD and whatever and Judgment and the Judgment Shuffle and whatever. we just talk about that, but we actually talk about things where people could not just relate to, but be like, yo, look at you as a human and not just an entertainer.
Exactly. Know? And which is what so many people fail to realize. We're all humans after all of everything said and done. Forget what you see on Instagram, because sometimes that's just what the perception of the person you have is. And imagine that Instagram posts are normally what? A minute. If it's a video, maybe a minute. Now a bit longer, maybe 3 minutes to 10.
Right.
What you're seeing within that 3 to 10 minutes is 3 to 10 minutes of somebody's entire 24 hours or week or whenever they last posted.
Right.
So there's so much more dialogue and nuance to the individual. And I'm glad you brought that up. And you brought up a key thing too, mental health.
You know, you said Instagram. So as I always say, this is not an interview, it's a conversation. So I want to ask you this question because it's something I've been struggling with myself. Do you think being attached to your phone and being on Instagram has been taxing and draining, or is it something that you find rewarding for the time that you spend doing it?
A little bit of everything you just said.
Right.
Taxing plus draining, because like you guys have to understand too that we're, as much as we are humans at the end of the day, we're not average. We literally build networks of people.
Right.
When you do that and use your social networks efficiently, everybody that you have following you, or maybe not everybody, but majority of the people, especially your close fans, are consistently interacting with you. And the worst part of it was the quarantine, where it's glued to your hand and there was nothing else to do. So it literally came a point where I was like, I have to put this phone like to the side for periods of time. Because if I don't, I'm just gonna be like this 24/7. And that alone is problematic, just being on your phone. But imagine people are constantly messaging you, and now you're expected to reply in a fashionably, a good amount of time, when it's not realistic.
But the flip side to that is that when you're not getting messaged and your phone dry, you're thinking, you're sitting on it like Bougie Banton thinking something must be wrong. You just sit on it like, yo, and then it's like, wait, boy, like nothing really going on here.
Exactly. So it's a catch-22, but at the same time, I say all of that to say, like, I have messages consistently. Anytime I post, if I'm out and I'm doing a story, it's a bunch of people messaging me, plus WhatsApp messages, plus text messages, Facebook, Twitch. I can't possibly consistently respond to all of those things. So when I say, like, yeah, there's benefits because you get to build a whole network to yourself, as opposed to having to rely on some big media company to do it and pay you a commission to provide a talent. You could do all this yourself these days. So there's benefits, yes, but the taxing side of it, and then having an expectation, like, why haven't I gotten a response yet? Like this morning, somebody messaged me asking if I'm available. No, they messaged me last night, but I was out at a gig. So I didn't respond. I responded this morning when I woke up. Then he asked if I'm available, and he told me the date. Because I didn't get back to him in about, I think it was like 4 hours time, he messaged me like, Breads, what's going on? Like,
I mean, he could have called.
Either way, but and again, like all of what we do, I'm at work as well. I'm at my 9 to 5. I can't be just like on my phone messaging right away. Certain people, yes, you have to give priority because that's your family or friends. And even then, sometimes those take a back seat because it's like I have so much going on. So it's a lot.
Remind me, I have to come back to that 9 to 5 point. But
well, while we're here, go ahead.
Interesting, you were talking about the mental health aspect of it. And I find it challenging. Like, I find it challenging to be tethered to a phone all day. And like, I've realized, I've realized, I've realized that I've stopped following certain accounts because I feel like they're trying to sell me something all the time. And I think the purpose of social media was to bring people together. I remember doing a post about this a couple of weeks ago, and a couple of DJs I spoke about it after Gel by Far Mega. I remember him commenting on it, that social media takes a snapshot of your life. And it's so funny because if you don't post tomorrow, so let me say tomorrow, BuzzB decides not to post anything, or for the whole week you don't post, two things are going to happen. One, people go and say, Stephen, you all right? Everything okay? Nobody ain't dead, right? You ain't getting horn, right? That's legitimately what it's going to happen. And the second thing is, after a period of time, promoters and event coordinators are going to be like, yeah, well, he kind of fall off the map. And as I usually tell people that for me, if somebody decides to take a break from social media, that doesn't necessarily mean that something bad happening to them. It could just generally be that in their lives, there's progress going on, but they just want to do it in silence. I think that is one of the things that we lose, especially in entertainment, the fact that sometimes progress can happen in silence. You don't really have to post yourself doing a million things. But at the same point in time, as I said, if people don't see you doing what you're doing on social media, then they'll be like, well, we don't know what's going on with you. And it's a real challenge for me because sometimes I don't want to sit down with my phone for the entire day like this. Or like, or as we like to say in Trinidad, selling the loo, right? You're in front of a stage and you take a snapshot picture like this. Saying, no, how to cut the picture cut so, and you're saying, yo, entertaining thousands of people at so and so, and then two people's like, dog, it had like 50 people in the party. Yes, what thousands you're talking about, So yeah, it's a challenge, bro. It's a challenge.
Smoke and mirrors.
It's a challenge. It's a challenge.
Yeah, and that conversation could go on forever, especially with the social media aspect of things. But let's take things even further back. So I know, and you've had many years in the business, and you've had a lot of notable places that you've touched in the business that not many people have. Something I heard the other day, like it was on Problem Child. Did you see that post?
No, I can't remember. I did.
It was so good, and especially the fact that we're both DJs. I'll insert it into the show now.
Right.
Yo, check this out. So I'm sitting in the airport today, right? And one of my DJ brethren passed by and he said, what's up to me? We greeted each other, good stuff. And I just watched him like, It hit me. DJs go through a lot of ish, man. It's not easy. I mean, it's not easy being an artist, but sometimes we tend to forget and take for granted, man. Like, it's so many DJs, first of all, for you to stand out. Because anybody could just buy a Serato or turntables and just say, I'm a DJ. So for you to stand out, you got to put in some serious time and effort and dedication to stand out. And then to achieve that and to maintain that, especially if you do that as your main source of income, to upkeep your standard of living and support your family. You know what I'm saying? That can't be easy, bro. And then we got artists who just be like, yo, play my song. There's something personal happened to me today. And I too been guilty of like, yo, I sent you this new song, yo, play for me. Like, not even like, you might have been having a bad day. A DJ might have been having a bad day, because I'm not having a bad day, but it's some personal issues that I can't control came into being. And I'm like, a lot of people messaging me making demands, and I'm like, holy crap, I've made demands to DJs too. What if they're going through a day kind of like what I was going through today? You kind of take that for granted, like it's just play my song like randomly. Then there's so many artists doing it. And somebody like me who got 225,000 songs, it's hard to keep up. Now they got to sift through and try to give everybody love, which is virtually impossible to do. And yet we kind of like frown on if your song not getting played or not getting played enough sometimes. I'm pretty sure every artist has been guilty of that. But these guys and girls, or guys generalizing, okay, not being sexist, have a family, have shortcomings, have issues, have personal things that they got to accomplish. You know what I'm saying? They're not just there waiting to play music. Just like anybody else, they got things they got to attend to, a family, children, personal time, mental stability. It's a long-ass message, man. But shout out to all the DJs, man, especially the soca DJs, because that's my genre. So, but big up to all the DJs, man. I feel you. Big respect, man, to everybody. Whether or not, whatever, we tight, we cool, whatever. If you out there making an effort, man, as a DJ, big love, man. Big love, much love to you. Big respect to you as well.
So what he was saying was the fact that DJs are human as well. And
Yes.
he came across a DJ in an airport, and he had to sit there and think to himself, like, yo, what if he's going through it right now? What if he's having a bad day? And he's doing a lot. And one thing that stuck out to me that he said was, everybody's trying to be a DJ these days.
Right.
So for you to even be able to stand out as a DJ shows that you were putting in real work.
Right.
And that alone is something that should be respected.
Yeah.
And then he went on, like, artists have a tendency of, oh, I didn't play my song, la, 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 la. But you don't understand that that DJ might be going through something that day.
Mm-hmm.
You're pressuring him to play your song, but he's a DJ who has to go through every song.
Every song.
And then you have to show every single person love, which is not
Easy.
It's not easy.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of aspects to this, but the fact of what I was saying was, you know, there's so many DJs and you were able to make a name for yourself. How did you start DJing, and where are some of the places that DJing has taken you?
I've been, without selling out my age, I've been doing this since the 2000s. That's as far back as I'll say, without selling out my age.
Yeah.
But there are two aspects I think that really took my career in a different stratosphere, if that's the word I could use. One was when I started to go to college at the University of West Indies, because that was where I got a chance to meet all these different Caribbean people. And finally stuck out to me that soca just wasn't a Trinidad thing, but Lucians have their own music, Bajans have their own music, Grenadians have their own music. And one of the things that anybody who went to college with me at that point in time who knows me like, yo, you was the DJ, I used to play in all them college parties, but you was a real bad boy. Right? So that really helped because that actually opened up other doors for me in different islands and different countries. But the second thing, which I always say with people, is always start with a St. Vincent story, is I went to St. Vincent in 2013 for the first year to do Beckway weekend. I think that was the first time that I was exposed to understanding how traveling as a DJ, understanding another country's culture, and being able to immerse yourself in it, and not just immerse yourself like you go there and you play the song and you don't really understand it, but you understand the song, you understand the power of the song, why there's connectivity to the song. People will give you respect for that because you didn't come as a Trini DJ to play Trini soca alone. You came as a Trinidadian DJ who knows what it's like to have the St. Vincent experience. Like right now, there's a song in St. Vincent called Eat Bread and Butter, right? The average person who not listening to Vincy soca be like, what bush, as we like to say, is that? But when you hear a lot of people saying, yo, they have hardships in the country, there are people who struggling to make ends meet. So as much as many governmental people might not like that song, Eat Bread and Butter really is the story of many people on the street. If it is that you don't know the music, you won't really understand it. You just go and play it like, yo, make me play that big tune. But to really understand the whole, as I like to say, the etymology behind the tune, right? It's something that's important to being able to stand out, you know?
Yeah.
So that Vincy experience and that college experience were the two things that really got me to St. Lucia, Barbados, Antigua, and I'd even say up to recently in the DMV, you know, first time in DC. So all these different places I've gone to started from those two experiences. Wicked.
So, you know, the university was definitely one that's important because you got to touch and feel, understand, and talk to people from different islands. Yeah, I tried to come out of that. Yeah, don't make me pull up receipts, huh? But you got to deal with people from different walks of life, is what I'm trying to say.
Right?
Yeah. And fast forward now, or I don't even know if it's fast forward, but you also did time on the radio,
right?
So I'm sure that had a wide reach as well.
Yeah. Being part of 96.1 for close to, I would say, 7 years.
Yeah,
really taught me how to be polished, and I kind of grew an appreciation for media in the sense of not how we as people on the outside looking at it. So in the Caribbean, on the outside looking at the radio, is a guy on radio punching in, giving an argument for a song, the playing a song, the wheeling the song from the top, everybody like, yo, that song real big or whatever, whatnot. But to then go into a studio and see people conduct actual interviews. And I was glad that while I was there, the Sunday show that I was part of, which was the hookup, with my two friends, Kimberly, who has passed on, and Shayna, that was the #1 morning show in Trinidad on a Sunday. For probably, if we were on here for 7 years, probably like 5 or 6.
Wow.
And that experience, that actually helped me meet a lot of different of the artists that I have relationships with now. Pretty, Ricardo, Drew, a lot of the artists that I know and who I've interviewed in my podcast are people that remember me as the tall dark guy with the 2 red girls who was playing the tunes on our Sunday and was real quiet. And the 2 girls talking and the dark man in the back just started soon, right? So when I actually talked to him, it's like, yo, you actually used to talk, bro? It's like, yeah, you know? So yeah, like a lot of the artists who I've met, even Nadia Batson as well, all of those artists started from that radio platform. Yeah.
Beautiful. And you know, these experiences is important too, because it's important to show that it's not just by going into parties that you develop connections and go where you need to go as a DJ, as an entertainer, as somebody in the scene. You know, you got to touch these different walks of life, these different establishments, universities, radio, etc. In terms of parties that you played, give us a couple that like stand out to you right now, if you could think back. Or parties that may have been pivotal moments in your career.
Pivotal moment events. There was a party that we used to do every single Easter, on Easter Monday in Beckway and St. Vincent, called AM. And I call that because that was real significant in the sense that there were people that would hear about our set long before they came at AM. And they just know, hey, when Redymix reach, the party is going to go on a different level. And I think for a good couple of years being part of that and seeing that build to the level where it was, I was really glad to not just contribute to the development of it, but also for the fact that it had people, like I always remember Lyrical telling me this, like Lyrical will go some places, right? And a random person will walk up to him in some strange places like, yo, use Lyrical? It's like, yeah, I really love you, boy.
Yeah.
And Lyrical, the thing you say, well, people know Lyrical, boy.
Yeah.
so it's the same thing with me, like, hey, people know Shomari, boy. People know
The crazy part is that could be so scary.
yeah.
You got some big rough looking man come up to
Come up
yo,
to you like, yeah.
you BuzzB?
Yeah.
I don't know you. Who you coming up to me? Like, don't come up to me so aggressive.
And it's so funny.
Yo,
Like,
I love what you do.
You said that this past Sunday, I did an event called Islands in the Sun in Maryland, right?
Was that on the thing with Willie Chin?
Yes,
Yeah,
with Willie
okay.
Chin, right? That's a good example. I know Willie because I interviewed Willie during 2021, I believe it was, from a podcast, right? And I mean, that was the one time I spoke to Willie in detail. So me and Willie do the party Sunday. Willie comes up to me, yo, you're bad, you know. That's how he said. It's how he says it too now, but it's like, yo. So like, I'm like, shit.
Yeah.
Yo,
Yeah.
real bad, you know. So I just always be shocked when people who you don't expect to know what you're doing and to be impressed with what you're doing. It's like, it's almost like the validation that you might not have been necessarily looking for, but you're still happy to get it.
Yeah.
You know?
No, that's beautiful. It happens very often, especially when you're putting in work. People tend to watch. Like we were just having this discussion right before the show. They may not tell you they're watching, but they're watching. You know, I had a conversation with somebody the other night, and he's come to me in parties. I don't mind saying it. I think I've said it on this podcast before, but Jamal McGlure.
Right.
You know, I think retired from the NBA, is now helping the Toronto Raptors.
Right.
Has his own band in Toronto,
Right.
Toronto Revelers. He messaged me on WhatsApp, calls me, and we have a little conversation there. And he was telling me, like, bro, I've been watching what you're doing. I've just been a fan from afar.
Right.
So just because I haven't been liking your posts or following or what, like literally following you on Instagram, does not mean I'm not watching. Like,
Why do you think people do that?
that's beyond me. But the funny part is when it comes time for business,
Right.
that's when the calls start to happen. And bro, it was something I was going through the other day. I think I vented with you about it because you know me and you always WhatsApp. And bro,
We could drink white oak in some conversations.
yeah, I should slow down
we
for
can drink
sure.
white oak in some conversations sometimes. Yeah.
White Oak, Angostura, sponsorship. Thank you so much. Bro, the amount of people that I am now friends with, and if I think back to me trying to reach out to them before, a lot of these people that I met in the quarantine have started with ignored messages.
Right.
I was messaging them from all 2017, 2018, etc. It was either ignored messages or like the one-word generic thing and then disappear. But nobody was really taking me on like that. And now people I'm extremely close friends with or really close friends with, it's like, well, why didn't you like link me back then?
Yeah.
That would have been like, and then we could have built a lot more dialogue. So I believe things happen in its time. But it's just funny to me that a lot of the relationships I've built recently have started with ignored messages. So one thing I was battling in my head about was like, especially to the younger people in whatever industry you're in, it doesn't have to be DJs. Don't hold feelings to those things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Don't let it get under your skin. These people are busy. And yes, it may seem like they're ignoring or they may very well be ignoring, but they're busy. And I've gotten to a point now where it's like, as much as I've felt how you're out there probably feeling, you're trying to link this person, but they're not responding to you and you're mad. I was mad, but you don't burn that bridge. You don't get upset at these people. You don't get, you don't get into your own feelings about it. You leave it alone and in due time, it will happen. Yeah. And when it does happen, you'll realize to yourself that, it's better that you didn't, have a little attitude towards them.
And not just that, and not just that too. I have something which I've been saying since 2016.
Yeah.
That was somebody cheated on my story, but that's a different story for a different time. Right? The point is that as I usually tell people, that's not gonna sound good anymore.
Yeah.
You gotta go where the love is.
Yeah.
Right? And just because somebody not showing you that level of love at the level that you might want at that point in time,
Yeah.
it doesn't mean that there are 10, 20 other people that would not give you the same energy that you need at the point in time. I always draw references committee back in Trinidad named Zeal. And I have built so much friendships with that team that even during the quarantine period when I was reaching out to certain promoters who are, as you say, you get the, what is the blue tick? What is the...
Verified?
Not the verified. When you send a message and the person reads it.
Oh, red, left on red?
Left on red, right.
Yeah.
So, or when it is that happen and I'm like, you know, and I'm there struggling to try to figure out why these people are not responding to me.
Yeah.
I will do a live and I will have 20 people from this committee just sitting down messaging each other, yo, Shomari on no, and they having conversation about it. Like, I always remember early in the pandemic, or I should say in the middle of the pandemic, when I just heavily got on Twitch, because of you, thank you very much, White Oak, for that.
Yeah. No problem.
I remember there was something I started on Wednesdays, which was part of a mixtape series I was doing called Pump. And at that point in time, Trinidad went into a second hard lockdown. So nobody could have gone anywhere. We were on curfew, everything.
Yeah.
And that actually became people's unofficial birthday party. Like, that was people's birthday party. So on a Wednesday, Shomari live from 8 to 10 is this person's birthday party. And there were people in group messages like, yo, this song, I haven't heard this in a while, yada, yada, yada. So for me, it you had to really go where the love is. You know, it start with that. And then from you building yourself around the love that you have, slowly and surely, people on the outside will want to know, well, where all this good energy coming from? Why haven't I been paying attention? Let me start to pay attention. I won't really tell him anything, but I seen what he doing. Remember, I gave you the story about, you know, my DJ friend who was like, yo, I remember when you tell me back in 2018 or whatever, you wanted to quit. And I'm real glad you didn't quit because I seen what you're doing. And he has never commented, posted, liked, anything that I was doing, but the fact that he could say, I see when you was doing your live, I see when you was doing your podcast, I see when you was doing this event, I'm real glad that you did not quit.
Yeah.
So the other way love is, and the love will spread. It might sound highfalutin, but it's true.
And I agree with your DJ friend. I'm glad you didn't quit either because, you know, we've developed a real bond within the quarantine, and I have been thankful for that. Not many people have that kind of appreciation for that stuff. But the fact that we are able to bounce ideas, talk, and reason about this industry, I value that a lot.
Yeah.
Because again, not many, especially somebody older than you, is not really willing to be as receptive to have those kind of conversations. I think at this point, based off of what you just said, is the perfect time to tell this story.
The SOCA Brainwash story.
Is the perfect time. Now, people, this is being recorded before SOCA Brainwash in Toronto. Okay? I'll give you guys the blueprint and exactly what happened and how BuzzB, for the first time, is on SOCA Brainwash. About a month ago, I messaged... You didn't know? This guy.
Oh, you could not know that, boy. Let me bring
His
you back here.
His jaw is dropped in the back.
Man, come now, man.
Yeah, I'm DJing on SOCA Brainwash. You should see his face right now. Let me tell you, I can't even. Stay slow. I'm gonna pose you. Yeah. So people, what you just see here, this is his reaction. This is his reaction.
Oh, I know before you. Oh, hard luck.
It just happened. Like just. So yeah, this is happening before SOCA Brainwash this Saturday. Now, about a month ago, Private Ryan on his SOCA Brainwash page, his Instagram page, posted
he posted him and a couple of
some DJs from the last SOCA Brainwash in Toronto.
Tag who you think we should see at SOCA Brainwash, or who you think is going to be there
at SOCA Brainwash
for SOCA Brainwash in Toronto.
Exactly. So from that point now, I saw that post. Then I said to myself, you know what? I was speaking to Jakey the other time. I'm like, yo, look at this. I feel like maybe I should like campaign or something.
Right.
To get my name listed in the comments. But I don't think I should do that or know how to go about it. Jakey cut me off. He's like, bro, do it.
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, but I don't know how. Like, I'm not that type of guy. I've never done something like this before. How do I? He's like, yo, what I would do, I would just say, yo, it's my boy JKD's birthday. I'm going to SOCA Brainwash anyway. But it's always been a dream of mine to play on SOCA Brainwash.
Right.
So if you guys can you please comment BuzzB's name under that post? Comment my name and maybe just say a 1-2 about why you should add him.
Right.
The love I got that day, bro, if there was 100 comments under that post, I had about 80, 75, 80.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just like, put DJ BuzzB, put DJ BuzzB, put DJ BuzzB. It was like heartfelt comments about people that actually love me and love what I do.
In Trinidad, we'll call that voter padding, yeah? But I mean, continue.
whatever you call it.
But no, you're right.
It showed exactly what you're talking about.
Correct.
I built a community that loves what I do, that loves me.
Exactly.
And I brought that to the table because before that, the reality is private. I don't know if he was paying attention to me.
Right.
The last time I remember actually being in a place DJing where he was watching was when I DJ'd on Kevin Crown's boat ride in New York in November.
Right.
And he was literally
next
standing next to me.
Right.
But he was in conversation and thing, but I wasn't even focused on him.
Right.
So I didn't know if he was paying attention or not. But when I asked Kevin afterwards, he's like, bro, Private Ryan was dancing and shit. He was taking videos while you were playing.
Yeah.
He was listening. So I left it because there was no follow, no message, nothing.
Right.
One thing I'll give him though, even as busy as he is and arguably being the top guy, the top DJ when it comes to this industry, as busy as he is, if I were to have messaged him on Instagram before, he would respond.
He would respond, yeah.
And that's one thing I gave him credit for, you know? But in terms of a relationship, there was never an opportunity to build one.
Right.
So anyway, all those people posted under the comment, and I was so happy to see that. But nothing. Like, I didn't hear anything. Not even like a repost or a like on nothing.
Right.
So I said, okay, maybe he didn't see it. And JKD was just like, yo, bro, he saw it. I know he had to have seen it.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. Fast forward now. This is like 2 weeks after a month ago. 2 weeks later, he sends me a message, which he never does, but he sent me a random message with his new rhythm. So instead, as I said, remember I said earlier, don't burn those bridges just because you may be upset at a certain situation.
Yeah.
I could have been that guy, but that's not my mentality. I'm generally a nice person when it comes to this stuff.
Right.
So I left ego and stuff aside. And to be honest, despite who he is, I love his productions.
Right.
The stuff he's been putting out has been artwork.
Yeah.
And I play that stuff not because he's who he is, but because I just simply love the record.
Love the music, yeah.
So he sent the new record, the Sugar Rhythm, I think.
Yeah.
And I just said, yo, keep it up. That's it. Keep it up. And he messaged me back, thanks, bro. I see you've been working as well. And followed me. After all of these years. So I was like, it was that simple little nudge that did that. But even still, it wasn't like, yo, you want to be on Brainwash? He still left it.
Yeah.
So there was no conversation. But again, put your ego aside. He may be busy. He may already have his lineup. I just left it alone. I didn't complain. I'm just working either way. Literally this morning, I'm on my phone. I put my phone down to the side. I'm working on my 9-to-5 work. I see the thing pop up on the phone. Private Ryan, yo. I said, what? Seriously? I don't know what it is, but the fact that he's messaging me, it might be a thing about Brainwash. I said, yo, what's going on? And you know how it is. Every 3 seconds, checking my phone. Did he message? About 45 minutes, bro. Just like heart beating. Got a message after 45 minutes. Are you available this Saturday? I wanted to put you on SOCA Brainwash. Bro, I never throw my phone, huh? I threw my phone in excitement. I was, yo, thank God. Yes. I messaged JKD. He could upload the voice note if he wants. I was screaming like, bro, I'm on Brainwash. Next thing he asked for my number. I told him, yo, thank you. It's an honor. I'm definitely available. Right. I had my ticket. I was going to party and get myself drunk.
Yeah, because we spoke about that. We said, yo, we go in Brainwash and get drunk and...
Period.
Well, I wasn't going to get drunk, but, you know.
I was definitely going to indulge in whatever drinks he had there. But I got the message. And that was that, like, till now, I'm not calm about it. Like, I'm still trying to process that. And I'm still trying to figure out, like, how I'm going to do this to the best of my ability to not only show how appreciative I am, but to make the most out of the moment.
Correct.
So, like, it's things like that. Again, it reinforces my point and your point. Your point was build an audience that loves you, and people on the outside will end up seeing that. Like, yo, what is he doing that all these people love him or her?
Yeah.
Once you have that, remember too, don't burn bridges just because somebody's not messaging you back.
Yeah.
Getting up to a certain level in this industry requires an insane amount of work. So for him to be doing everything he's doing and still to have messaged me back when he didn't know me is commendable in itself.
Yeah.
But the fact that like he's doing so much, I just have to have understanding about. And I'm just saying this story to kind of reinforce those ideologies. Like, don't get in your own feelings. These people may actually be too busy.
Yeah.
And I've gotten to a point where it's like, this whole thing I've been doing, bro, I don't know what I'm doing. This entire DJ thing, I'm literally figuring it out step by step. There's no guidance counselor. There's no big brother, a father that did this. I'm just in it. So getting to a point now from being exactly like you guys listening to this podcast, the party person that just comes out, pays their money, and has a good time, to where I am now, I fully understand how much work is going into what needs to be done to get to a Private Ryan status or beyond.
And you made a point about you don't know what you're doing. You're just doing it, figuring out as you go. Because as I said, you didn't have BuzzB Senior to show you how to do X, Y, Z, whatever, whatnot. And this is a big point I've been making more in the Caribbean than outside the Caribbean. Because I've seen, like in the US and other places, where I would talk to some of my friends and they'd be like, yeah, I was talking to my mentor today about X, Y, Z, and they talking to me about this, and I'm like, what? You actually have a mentor? Like, what? Yeah. What is a mentor? you know? And I tell people, like, for me, part of what I want to do right now is really try to help other people figure it out in a way that I didn't know how to figure it out. So there's these two guys. I'm going to give them a plug here. Kadeem Suave, DJ Kadeem Suave, and DJ Camo from Trinidad. Yeah. Two young guys that messaged me a couple of months back and said, yo, like Tyrese in Too Fast, Too Furious, when he and Paul walk away, he walks up to the guy and said, yo, we hungry. You know, so they were like that. They was like, yo, we really want to get into this thing. We real hungry for it. But Shomari, we just have nobody to give us the guidance. I mean, we willing to work, but we just want the guidance. And I think a lot of times, by far Mega made a point about this on Twitter the other day. He said so many people look at us and try to separate this new generation of DJs, but they don't realize we put in each other party because they know how it was when they're trying to get into some big promoter party and them getting shunned out. So to me, why should I then close off what I've learned and the struggles that I've gone through that could actually utilize now to help another generation or somebody else, just for them to build themselves and to be better? And that mentorship part you mentioned is a big, big reason why I feel a lot of Caribbean creators, especially, have never been able to take their talent from here to here. So Private Ryan, people have to understand Private Ryan. Private Ryan is an institution with support mechanisms. Like, you know, his family is part of his business and they help him run the business. So it's not like you pick up your phone and say, yo, Ryan, what you doing Saturday at 2:00, XYZ? No, you like have to book him and go through the process of booking him. Well, unless you know him. But even if you do know him, he will say, well, hey, call this one, call that one. I'm already not too sure, whatever. But there is a business process that goes into what you see now. SOCA Brainwash is not just the mix that you hear for Carnival and the event that you went and break up with your girl or whatever because he's whining on the next girl. No, there is a business process that goes into this. Is months of planning, is years of organization, is years of taking an L. You take an L this year, you take an L next year, but you come back with a win the following year and you build that community of people in that organization to help you progress. But if you don't have somebody teaching you that understanding, because I have some people like, Shomari boy, how BuzzB lives just be so lit and you have whatever whatnot and ting and why after this, but they just don't know where to get started. And that's why it's important for mentorship that we, especially people who have developed that experience over time, to be able to help younger people understand what goes into this business. So they wouldn't really be wasting the time. They would understand what it takes.
And two things to reinforce that. One is, I wouldn't say his name, but I booked somebody because I know him. And I literally know him from the year I started DJing.
Right.
And he gone, right? He's already in every carnival. He's a big name. But I've known him throughout the whole time. Me and him have kept a good bond.
Right.
But the point I'm trying to make is, one night at an event up here, he was randomly in town. So I see him, and me and him are chilling in the party, and he's usually in Barbados, Caravana time, Toronto Carnival time. And I said, or he told me, bro, so you know I'm going to be here, Carnival time. That's one of my big fetas. That's the one where now I could pay you what you're probably asking for.
Right.
So I would love to pay you back for all the guidance you've given me. Would you take the gig? No problem. He take out his notes on iPhone, typed in the date. So I figure everything good. I add him to the WhatsApp group recently for the event, and he messaged me on the side. Yo, bro, when is that party that whole spiel? So I said, bro, you like we dealt with this. And what stuck out to me was what he said in response, which was, yo, usually I let my manager deal with this because of stuff like this.
Right.
So they handle the bookings and make sure everything's in order.
Right.
You know, you understand? So instead of looking at somebody like, okay, this person has a manager, they're bougie now, there might be an actual reason to it.
Right.
So a lot of these things I'm learning too, because again, I was a consumer. I may look at a lot of DJs a certain type of way, but I'm now getting involved in the process and getting side by side with a lot of these guys and learning to myself, like, no, there's levels to this.
Yeah.
There is a process. There is a reason for a manager.
Yeah.
For stuff like that not to happen. Because if I was relying on him, imagine that, and he was like the headlining actor, something like that, and that happened, I would have been livid.
Yeah.
You know, so that's that part of it. But the other part, you know, when it comes to getting into the scene and meeting certain people and not knowing exactly how to progress, and the main thing that you said was that helping hand could help so much.
Yeah.
Bro, my mentality around it is that if you are a 20-year-old DJ that's just getting into this, and what may take you 10 years to learn, if I could teach you that within, let's say, a year instead of the 10, that gives you 9 more years to take it even further.
Correct.
And if you do that to enough individuals in an industry, how far could we really go? Yeah. But you want to be gatekeepers with all of this stuff. Keep it to yourself because it's business. To me, and you know, when it comes to like everybody in the scene, I am not the best. I'm good at what I do. I could proudly say that. And I know because a lot of people commend me on what I do. But when I go up against certain guys, I'm not the best. But it's my work ethic. It's what I'm willing to put in to go the extra mile. Not many people are willing to do that.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying to give people a spoon, like spoon feed them everything. But there's ways of doing it. There's your close DJ friends that may be younger. Mentor them on the side. Yeah. There is platforms like this. This is a perfect example. Platforms like we're about to talk about that you pioneered within the quarantine. And even so far as seminars, webinars, you could charge people for that knowledge that you gained by experience. Yeah. You could make a book, an ebook, all of this stuff. And it's possible. And if somebody is really that willing to learn the information, they'll pay the money. Yeah. Right? But the point of what I'm trying to say is if you help somebody to advance a lot quicker, that gives them more time to advance even further. And I spoke to you about this right before the podcast. If you help that young kid one day, or if you trigger that one kid to start doing it, that same kid could end up being the next Jay-Z. Right. That same kid could end up being the next Drake, DJ Khaled, etc. And what he's going to remember is you were the guy that helped him.
But even if he doesn't remember that, life has a way of paying you back at times when you really don't know it. I give people this really simple story. Last year I was in Manhattan doing a breakdown job for this big show in the Fortune 500 company. I walk out of the building and there's this guy, a young guy outside Popeyes, asking people for $1. They're just like, yo, and everybody's looking at him like, no, I don't have $1.
Yeah.
So I didn't have much money at the point in time. But I was like, you know what? This is a young guy. He's not older than 20. Yeah. No, in my mind, no 19 or 20-year-old wants to be on the street begging or in front of Popeyes begging for chicken. So I was like, you know what? I went up to the cashier because the cashier is trying to run him out of the building. So I went up to the cashier and said, look, I'm buying this meal deal for him. If it is, they could give it to him or whatnot. And they give it to him, whatever. The day after, when I did that job, the guy calls me and says, yo, we didn't realize that you guys worked 3 hours extra. So I have more money to send for you. I wasn't looking for that money. Yeah. I mean, I'll take it, but I wasn't looking for it. But even if it is that I never planned for that to happen, the point of the fact is that life repays you in some way, some form, or some fashion for the good things that you do now. Some people call it karma. It could be that. But at the same point in time, you might help somebody today. You might help some DJ today or some young entrepreneur or whatever today. And you might think that you don't have anything to benefit from it. And then all of a sudden in some other part of your life, you might find again fortune. You meet the woman of your dreams.
Yeah.
How you find that woman? Well, remember when you help your partner or your friend build this company? Well, this God way of saying, take our wife and go. You know, I just said. So the point is that, again, and I know DJ Adam has told me about this a lot of times, karma, however. I just believe that sometimes when you do invest good into certain things, good will come back to you in some particular way or form or fashion. So,
absolutely. It's I would say it's good karma. Is what they say in Lion King. It's the circle of life.
I'd say Lion King, yes.
we learn these traits from young, you know. It's a circle of life, and putting good into the universe has its way of repaying you. Yeah. A similar instance is not something where I benefited financially, monetarily, or anything like that. But it was a situation. I was at the mall just down the road.
Right.
And the day was the windiest day I've ever. So I go and park up by the mall, go inside, get what I have to get. When I get back to my car now, though, I open the car, but the wind takes my car and smashes it into the next car. Oh, shoot. So and this is when I was a lot younger, plenty years back, but I was younger.
Right.
So at that point, I'm scared now. So I call my parents. I'm like, I don't know what to do.
Right.
So I call my dad. My dad, this just happened. Hear my dad now. He say, did anybody see you? Is anybody? So you know we're not going already.
Run.
Yeah, exactly.
Run, Stephen.
So my mom, not knowing what's going on, but sees that there's something going on. She's like, give me the phone. Right. So I tell my mom now what's going on. And she's like, look, you need to be honest. You need to be a good person with this. Get a pen and a paper. Write down what happened. Put it on their windshield. And then leave. Because there's no sense in you waiting this whole time.
You sure you're Trini? You sure,
That's my mom, you know.
Your mom is Trini. She's Trini.
My mom's Trini, yeah.
Damn.
My mom's Trini. My dad's Trini.
And how long they been living here?
My dad has been up here over 30 years now.
Yeah, because that probably wouldn't happen in Trinidad. Yeah. He'd be like, oh crap.
Yeah.
Hey, there you go, boy.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
We go on.
So my dad was that. My mom, she's very Canadianized now. But
right.
Anyway, that was literally
Canadianized.
You know the imagery with the not to say anything, but the devil and the angel. It was like that moment at that point. So it's mom. Right. So I listened to mom.
Right.
Mom has always led me in the right direction. I'll tell you the next story afterwards. But story time, guys. Gather around. I put the note on the car. Get home. So a day passes or so. I get a call from the man. Hey, well, we checked the dent. We want to thank you just for leaving the note. We checked the dent. We're going to take it in to get appraised and see how much it's going to cost to fix that situation.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, no problem. So I exchange information, let it go. Next day he calls me. He took it into the shop. Then he calls me after the shop, after they done checked everything.
Right.
He says, honestly, this scrape or whatever that happened because of the car door situation is a minor situation compared to all the other stuff we need to fix on the car.
Right.
And we actually truly appreciate the fact that you were honest about it, because not many people would be. So because you were honest about it, we're just going to keep it under the table. Don't worry about it. We're just going to get the whole car fixed.
Right.
And you don't have to worry about paying back that. I said, way, man. That really worked out.
I was still going.
Yeah, exactly. But the karma may have worked out different.
But yeah, true.
That parking lot could have had many cameras.
You're right.
You could have got your license plate caught.
You're right. You're very right.
And you know what? The reason I listened to Mom too, the last story before we continue with the next subject, it was a one night. My mom told me, do not go out. And I was so thinking to go out that night.
Yeah,
it wasn't even to a party.
Right.
It was just to a dinner with friends and then to my boy's house to drink. But there was a reason she was saying don't go out. She was saying because on this the TV, the news, they're announcing that there's going to be an ice storm.
Right.
I said, I've never seen nothing like this in my life, bro.
Right.
I go out to the dinner, get to my boy's house. We liming until like 2, 3 in the morning. I get to his house about 10:30 p.m. Go, we drinking and thing. 2, 3 o'clock. I go outside to my car. Bro, when I tell you the entire place was covered with ice.
Right.
It was to the point where I literally had to skate my feet to the car in order to get in, or else I would have slipped trying to walk. Right. I had to chip ice off of my car to get back into my car. Leave the car on for an additional hour so the ice melts off the car. And my boy lives 2 streets away.
Right.
Driving home, that was one of the scariest drives of my life.
Yeah.
I finally get home. I'm like, yo, I am going to listen to Mom every single time from here on out because that scared me.
It's so funny you say that because I was the total opposite to that.
Yeah?
And I tell people when I was younger, I was the textbook TV try to be rebellious child. Like I was a guy that would sneak out. My mom used to sleep at that point in time. She used to sleep in the living room, because she, for whatever reason, at that point in time, she found it much more therapeutic to what she was going through at that time. And I used to sneak out past her to go through the front door to go out. And it was so bad. Come to think about it, that was really stupid. Because like I was the one that used to put pillows under the bed and wrap it and put a basketball for your head and take off the TV so she'd probably peep in and think it's me, but just not know it's not me. And it's only years later, like she's like, you think that I didn't know you said that? And she used to be like, with my brother, and like, she used to go to my brother. My brother's name is Shazon. She gave us very complicated names. So my brother's name is Shazon. She'd be like, Shazon, tell me why I shouldn't kill him. Oh, God. This is 3 o'clock in the morning. It's like, oh, God, mommy, he young. No, tell him, I'm going to kill him when he comes home. This is true story. He used to tell me, mommy, she want to kill you. Yeah. She's like, I'm going to kill him. Why is this boy sneaking out? What is this about? Jesus can't live here. Jesus, what is this? What is this? That's my mother's favorite statement. What is this? Yeah. So yeah, like it's amazing you said that because I took my freedom and actually proved myself somewhat through rebellion. Where it seems like you were like, I'm gonna listen to Mom.
No. There was, but again, where did that come from?
Right.
The rebellion.
Yeah.
And there was many a time before, boy. There was one time similar. I was out, man, at night. And she was calling me, but I didn't answer.
Right.
I think I was with some girl.
Right. Right.
The phone was,
Right.
Bro, I get home. This was one of the most serious times I've seen her.
Right.
And it was dark because it was nighttime.
Right.
So she looks at me, and nothing else. All she said to me, give me your phone. I said, why?
Right.
Like, well, if you don't know how to use it, if you don't know how to answer it, you don't need it. Give it to me.
That was your punishment.
Bro.
So wait.
This is like when I was 15, like 14, 15 years old.
Right.
But like, that's
so you've never gotten the going to a party and the DJ comes in the mic and says, Stephen BuzzB, your mother's by the door. You've never gotten that. You've never gotten that? Oh shit. Oh man.
Have I gotten?
You've never gotten that?
No, I've gotten, but somebody else.
I've gotten close to that.
Yeah, somebody else came on my parents' behalf.
I went to a party and I wasn't supposed to be there. I told my mom I was going to the mall. So 10 p.m., she's asking my brother, why your brother didn't come back from the mall yet? It's like, well, mommy, I don't know. My brother used to always want to stay out. Like, don't get me in that, right? 11 o'clock now, I'm in the party. And I've been on the city like, you're taking our wine. So you're in a corner with some strange girl. You're like 14 years old. So I jam in, as we like to say in our corner. I look at my little watch, 11 o'clock. It's like, shit. So I'm now coming out the party because it's at a school on a hill. Yeah. So I'm running down the hill now. I see my mother car turning the corner, coming up the road. It's like, wait, nah. I just I'm like, nah, I don't believe that.
Does she? Yeah.
It's definitely pulls up next to me. Come in the car, let me kill you. Come on. I was like, and the story goes like she says that, and I was like, no, I'm not getting in the car. And she's like, come in the car now. I did not go home that night. I was out on the street till 5 in the morning. Yeah. So
now I'm starting to realize what all my receipts are coming from, you know. Yeah. I'm starting to see where the
talking
receipts.
About mama's like, give me your phone. But my mother's chasing me on the block. She's driving, coming to look for me. Yeah.
No, that happened in the younger days, but you know, more or less, like, I did my stupidness, but I would always listen.
Yeah.
You know, the one thing I really didn't listen about was DJing.
Right.
I could understand now that I'm actually in it, why my parents wouldn't have wanted me in this.
Right.
But it's one of those, like, I loved it too much. And when I actually presented them a business plan, bro, before that, they weren't trying to hear it.
Yeah.
When are you going to stop this DJ thing?
Yeah.
Get back to your books. You'd get out 9 to 5 and be good. It was only until I literally brought them a business plan that they eased up.
I actually realized that is, and I don't know if it exists here in Toronto, but that is, I look at it as the generational part of parenting. Because our parents grew up with the concept of you get a 9 to 5, you work here, you work this, and you work your way up this company and whatever, whatnot. They ain't about hearing about creative professional businesses where you want to be a DJ or you want to be an artist or you want to be. Very few parents are like that. So a lot of times you see that, especially my mom did not want to hear that in the beginning. She just thought this is me playing music in my room. And once I don't play Mr. Vegas, she's a whore. She happy with everything else, right? Yeah. And just for me going parties and being around the influencers, she didn't like that. But I'm sure you've had this experience. I remember coming back from Vinci Massa, and she was a principal, and going to the school. And one of the teachers comes out and she says, oh, this is my son. He's a DJ, no, he just came back from St. Vincent. And my man is like, but you wasn't telling me just 3 years ago what you do. But you can see she's proud of what I've built and accomplished. And that's because, again, I believe that generation before us weren't really big on actually putting in that entrepreneurial spirit and those things that society then used to look at as beneficial, because before as a DJ, you're just doing the DJ thing. Yeah. Now we've seen guys who have taken the music and the industry and built businesses in it, built wealth in it, could possibly build generational wealth from it. Yeah. So I think as our parents now have seen the success coming out from what we've been doing and understanding the vision that we've had for it, they are now actually coming on board to support us in a way that in their minds, they probably think that they should have given greater support at that point in time, but they're very happy to see that we'll be able to progress with it in the way that we'll be able to do it.
And you know yourself, the amount of nonsense we have to deal with.
A lot.
That's why they kind of want to keep us away from that too.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to see us go through that headache.
Yeah.
And as a parent, I wouldn't want to see, bro, if my kids tell me they want to do what I do, I would strongly, I wouldn't deter them, but I would let them know everything they're about to face.
It's funny you say, because I remember having Mikhail Teja on my podcast, the Creative Collective podcast. And I asked him, what would you tell any young person trying to get into entertainment? And he would tell them, don't do it. And you'd say no. And why you want to do it? And you would give them no's. And he said, because this is an industry of 1 million no's before you get to a yes. And if it is that you could survive all those no's, then he knows that you're serious about it. And he wasn't lying. Yeah. Because even to this day, with some of the things that I've done and some of the experiences I've had, I still get plenty no's. Yeah. And sometimes as a human being, it bothers me. But other times I try to relate it now to where I'm in my life, where, as I told you before, I want to do the events I want to do. You know, I want to be able to entertain people I want to entertain. Even if it's away from the populi of what everybody else wants to be in. It doesn't necessarily have to be for me. If I want to do a SOCA Brainwash, that's what I want to do. If I want to just go as a patron, that's what I want to do, you know?
And the thing about it is you do these things not only because it elevates your brand, it elevates the amount of gigs you've done, opportunities, meeting new people, but a big part of it is the pay.
Yeah.
And why are you doing it? Because of the pay.
Yeah.
Because you need money.
Yeah.
But once you're financially free, you could pick and choose who you want to work with.
Yeah.
Pick and choose what you want to do, how you want to do it, and on your terms.
Yeah.
That is one of the most powerful feelings in the world. And that's a big part of this podcast, is teaching people how to make money, how to invest money. That's a serious thing our community never thinks about.
And this actually goes back to, that's a good segue to what I was asking about earlier. Because you say you have your 9 to 5 and then you're doing this at the same point in time. There are a lot of people who look at what I do and they wonder how I'm able to navigate that. And many people out there are lost between they struggle between the decision of going into their creative entrepreneur life full time and leaving the job, or doing this part time and going into their job full time.
That's exactly what I'm going through right now.
And I don't know about you, but it has been a struggle for me because my job was not one of the kind of jobs that I felt totally fulfilled by.
Yeah.
And I'm actually on leave right now to kind of figure out this part of my life now. So on this like kung fu journey to kind of figure out, which part of the Tai Chi am I gonna as I told Patrick the Hype Man, the mental judo that I'm going to go through right now. But it is a legitimate challenge, because on one hand you feel that if you have all the time in the world, you could dedicate to your craft and becoming more of who you'd want to be.
Yeah.
But at the same point in time, gas is like $5 a gallon.
Bro, it comes to a point where you just have to be realistic with your circumstances.
That's it.
That's just point blank what it is. The only thing though is when you think about who is the greatest of the greats of our time, our generation, our lifetime, the world's lifetime. Do any of those people, does their story end with, I did a 9 to 5 for my entire life and I was okay?
But here's the one caveat I put to that. How many Steve Jobs exist in our lifetime?
Yeah, exactly.
One. How many Bill Gates exist in our lifetime? One. And it's not to say that there can never be another Bill Gates, another Steve Jobs, another LeBron James. But I always look at this industry as part of it is fate, part of it is hard work, part of it is luck, and part of it is your ecosystem, which is a term I've been using with friends of mine for a very long period of time. And sometimes if you don't have those 4 things working for you, then you have to be realistic about your circumstance. You may want to be the DJ or the artist that performs for 10 million people, but your circumstance may not necessarily set it in that way. And I give people the example, LeBron James had to leave Cleveland to go to Miami to learn to be a champion, to come back to Cleveland to win a championship for Cleveland, right? So it just means that the circumstances didn't set it up that his vision of, I'm going to come out of college, I'm going to be drafted by Cleveland, we're going to win a championship one time. That was not how the circumstance set out for him. So sometimes your circumstance may not put you in a position to be the Steve Jobs or the Private Ryan or the Marshall Montano, but it does not necessarily mean that where you are and where your life is going doesn't mean that it wouldn't have value. It might have value, but just in its own way. Yeah. So you may not be the next Private Ryan, or you may not be the next Kevin Crown, but you might be the BuzzB, you might be the Redymix, you might be Judgment. And in your world, people look at you as Marshall Montano. Yeah. Just a little bit bigger.
And that's the thing.
Just a little bit wider,
Yeah.
That's a little bit,
That's what I've come to realize. So many people praise what I do, and I'm just like, just how I am. I'm a regular guy. I don't see what you see.
Right.
But because I'm grinding.
Right.
And working hard at what I do. A big thing what you said there too is like, you may not necessarily be the next so-and-so, but you'll be your own.
Right.
When you see people like a Jay-Z, you understand? Or a Biggie Smalls who like died too young, unfortunately, but still has a name that's impactful in the industry. You see whoever leading figures, at least within the hip hop realm, right?
Right.
Who would have ever saw Drake coming into the fold and dominating.
Degrassi.
But the worst part that I don't like is people diminishing what he's done because he's doing it in a quote unquote easier era.
Right.
Yes, we have it a lot easier in terms of reach because everything is accessible by our thumbs now.
Right.
But that also allows us to do more than what the past has done.
Right.
And we can now make a way bigger impact based off of this technology.
Yeah.
Why aren't we praising that? And like you said, there's only one Drake, right? So if it was that easy, everybody would be Drake.
Right.
So instead of looking at like the younger generation who's busting like, nah, they had it easy. It's nothing for them. Try to conceptualize how hard it might be for them, especially with how much more competition there is now. Try to conceptualize the fact that, yo, yeah, he's this big. It's easier now. But at the same time, is it really because he's easier? It's easier, or it's because he has the drive to know what to do in his circumstances.
Right.
If he started his career way back when, the same time Jay-Z did, Biggie did, etc., it might be a completely different story right now.
Right.
Drake might be bigger than Jay-Z.
Right.
But it's the heart in the individual that is the point.
But it also goes back to one of those four things I just told you.
Yeah.
What is your ecosystem? What is the luck that you might have?
Yeah.
Timing, right? And at that point in time, what are the different things, how much work you put in? So it might be the work, yes. But there are people out there working, probably it might have somebody out there working 25 times harder than you.
Yeah.
But because you have a supportive network of people, you know, you have individuals that believe in what to do. You have individuals who follow you in a particular way. That guy who's in his basement out there paying in 20 hours of practice probably don't have that. And he's not seeing how these other parts of the general cycle is going to help him progress. And that is also a big part that I think even I struggle with, because I know the amount of work I put in. I know the amount of things I've done. But at the same point in time, sometimes I still do feel like, you know, there is so much more that I could be and I should be doing. And so something I tell people these days when I say it, and they're very shocked by it. So I openly say it, like, I am one of those people that believe in mental health. So I attend therapy, and I know from speaking to my counselor, one of the things about this should have and must have is something I'm trying to move from a vocabulary. Because at the end of the day, sometimes in life, it's not really not what you should have, but it's just your circumstances and how you make the best of your circumstances. And a lot of people don't really understand that because, again, as I rightfully said, they're looking at the Jay-Z, they're looking at the Drake, and the thinking, all those things of, well, this one had it easy, this one had it difficult. But look at Drake. I mean, how much times it must be frustrating for an artist like him for people to look at him and not give him credit because he don't sing street rap.
Exactly.
You know?
And he has a ghostwriter.
And he has a ghostwriter.
Like, all of that is real stuff.
Yeah.
And people, I can't really blame people because, again, people have their own perception of things. You have a right to. You have your own opinion. That's fine. But the reality is like there's hardworking people out there that even to the point of you criticizing them. Like, I've fallen victim of it as well. I've criticized like the Drakes, the Jay-Z's, but do you know what it's like to be in their shoes?
Yeah.
You know, people have probably criticized you many a times.
Yeah.
But it's like, do you know what it takes to be Shomari KRL?
Yeah.
Do you know what it takes to do what you do? Have you done it? So how can you criticize me or have opinions on me and say something about me when you don't have the first idea about what I'm doing?
Correct.
You just see the little 2 clips on Instagram and figure you know everything about this person.
And they will unfollow you and follow you back just, just to be like, boy, this BuzzB guy, boy.
Yeah.
The tsunami party. As we say in Trinidad, want to he, boy, and tsunami, boy.
And it's the same when you see standing in the back of tsunami, like, I still don't like him, you know, but
the party bad.
Bro, you wouldn't believe. People don't think I pay attention. You wouldn't believe how many of my haters are in my own damn party.
Oh my God.
It's ridiculous. But don't get me mad. Let me go to a break because we're about halfway through the show. So guys, you know what to do.
Quarter way through the white hook.
Quarter way through.
That's not a good amount.
I'm on shot 3, huh? So you better
I'm on shot 1.
Yeah, you see, help, dog. People, make sure this is the People's Podcast. We want to thank Shomari for being here. Remember to follow the page. Whatever you're listening or watching on, we're on YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google. We're on so many platforms right now. Just make sure to follow us on whatever you're listening to us on. Subscribe. Let us know how you feel about the podcast in the comments. Watch his face, man.
Damn.
That was a strong shot, huh? Pause.
Right,
But yeah. Let us know what you think in the comments. Like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. You want the white oak too? Go ahead. Shot. Now, people, once again, it's JKD's birthday. I don't know how many times I have to tell y'all that if you are listening to this podcast and you love JKD, go in the comments and type "Happy Birthday, JKD." Next podcast, I'm sure he'll tell you all about his weekend, his birthday weekend. Bro, big up my guy JKD.
Right.
He brought me out to Winnipeg for my first time ever. Another place in this country I've never visited.
This is Bonfire.
Bonfire. He did Bonfire. Big up Next Up promo as well. I just came back from Winnipeg this past weekend.
I'm not in Toronto. I know about in Toronto.
You see? You're paying attention.
Paying
That's good.
attention.
Yeah. He did it with Next Up promo. Big up those guys as well. Thank you so much for bringing me out there. Black's done the place. Big up yourself. We were out in Winnipeg and we killed it. You know, a funny story about that. A story I want to share is Winnipeg has a very different crowd.
Right.
And somebody comes to me before I play. It was myself, JKD from Toronto. Black's done the place. He's a dancehall sound out here. Wicked sound.
Right.
And yeah, we were to Toronto. Bro, the dance was okay. Like people were vibing, but it was kind of... So one of these DJs or promoters out there or whatever, he comes to me and he's like, yo, I respect what you do. I've seen your Instagram. I love what you're doing. You know, big respect.
Right.
And then he was talking to me about the party, and he's like, yo, honestly, bro, like, you see how it is right now, like a high school dance, everybody's up against the wall. He said, that's how it's going to be.
Right.
Winnipeg people don't really have vibes like that.
Okay.
That's just how it's going to be tonight. So it is what it is. So I'm going on to the set with that impression. But I said, nah, let me try a thing.
Right.
Bro, when I played, people were hands in the air, jumping up. So many people came to the dance floor to enjoy themselves. So I'm sitting there like, well, is it the people or is it who's playing?
Right.
That's the determining factor of how they get.
Right.
And then Blacks came on, killed it. JKD did well. And it shows you like, no, it's how you present the craft.
It's your presence, yeah.
Right. So anyway, I say all that to say we did amazing out there. Toronto represented in Winnipeg. Thank you all for your hospitality. Now, back to the People's Podcast. Thank you once again, Shomari, for being here. Now, Shomari, as you said, November 17th?
17th.
You said, what was that, 2020?
2020.
Time flies, man. It's like we just met yesterday.
Yeah.
We met almost 2 years ago. But I know a lot of what we spoke about was not only like the good things and us progressing, but a lot of dark moments.
Yeah.
So we were all hit with it. One of the darkest moments of our lifetime, which is COVID-19 and the pandemic. Share with the people, you know, as much as you feel comfortable sharing about your mentality going into the pandemic and what that announcement did for you.
I think at the beginning of the pandemic, believe it or not, I was scared, but I was fine because I felt like, all right, this is just going to be something that's going to happen and last 2 months, 4 months. So I would actually say that the first part of the pandemic, even though it was challenging in its own regard, I think I was more or less fine. Yeah. And a lot of good things happened out of the first part of the pandemic. I started one podcast, which gave me a whole audience of people that I was not exposed to before. And it actually helped me to develop this part of my skill set, which is being able to have conversations like this on a platform like this. Yeah. I was able to actually start another podcast to tell the stories behind creators because, again, driving in New York and listening to Power 105 and all these stations and hearing them talk about this artist, that artist, but not having the ability to have conversations about Caribbean creatives and Caribbean talent. I thought there was a big void for that. So that was a second thing. Starting doing Twitch and virtual events and meeting people like yourself, like Judgment, like the Glizzy.
Okay, before we get into the Judgment and the Glizzy thing,
Right.
I need to touch, because that's where I first found out who you were.
Right.
I never knew who you were before that. So initially, my thought process, again, when people see you or meet you or understand who you are for the first time, that's when you just started.
Right.
Right. So to me, I'm like, who is this Shomari guy? Like,
Yeah.
But as anybody would be. But I'm saying to myself, the reason I'm saying who is this Shomari guy, because you had special guests I've been dreaming about having on this podcast.
Yeah.
And I want to go through because you can't just let that breeze by.
Right.
Who were the type of people, besides the artists you mentioned? There was a lot of notable people you had discussions with.
On the DJ side, for the DJ podcast, Private Ryan, Kevin Crown, Back to Basics. I was the first, and I'm very proud of that. He actually asked me a question. I'd say I was very proud of being the first individual to actually have a one-on-one interview conversation with Patrick the Hype Man.
Wow.
And he actually told me that he's never done an interview like that before. He never really liked it. I always like to say it's not an interview, it's a conversation. Yeah. But Patrick the Hype Man, after a 2-year hiatus from public life, because Patrick was basically on a sabbatical from just people in total. Yeah. And this is one of the biggest entertainment individuals, mic men, hype men in the party industry in the Caribbean. So I had him, artists like Skinny Fabulous, Nadia Batson, Preedy, Second Star.
Wow.
Who else did we have? Voice. I had Voice for the season 2 opener. So yeah, we had a lot of artists and DJs. Many of them who you've been hearing the last couple of years. Lyrical. I nearly forget Lyro. So yeah, that's just some of the people, some of the individuals I had during the last 2 years.
Bro, that's extremely commendable. And one thing I want to touch on because we start to get back to Judgment and the Glizzy and Twitch. Yeah. But one thing I want to touch on, we've spoken many a times, and I want you to share with people, because a lot of people might start getting into their own, if you know what I mean.
Right.
Start getting into certain projects from the ground.
Right.
And then rise. So I say that to say, what were some challenges you had and some things you mentally battled with when it came to interviewing all those people, but the return that you got from all the time you invested?
Damn. Yeah. I think for me, there was always a challenge of the vision and the presentation versus the return of investment. So I could do like everybody and go on Instagram and have the camera right up to your face like this and do an Instagram live like everybody would do. But I wanted production elements in the conversation. Because, and you know what, like I felt really good coming here, and when he said, yo, I watched this interview the other day, and I watched that interview the other day, and I was randomly in my bed 2 o'clock in the morning, and I saw this conversation that you had with Second Star or Kivo or whoever, Tedison John, and I was just listening to it at 2 o'clock in the morning. That was something that I could not do with an Instagram Live, because it was, Instagram Live is something people call it like shopping. You know, you go down the cart, hey, who's on now? And you switch and you go to the next one. Yeah. But for me, being able to produce a show where you can have a conversation with somebody, but you can show clips from them performing and it feel like a real production for the viewer was something real important for me. So putting all that effort and energy was always a big part of what I was doing. The problem with that is that the traction of it to build is always slow. And in Trinidad and Tobago especially, I find sometimes it's very challenging when you start something new and you don't have a particular level of momentum going on behind you. We're not necessarily people that be like, yo, I see what you're doing and I go and help you push. They will wait until you reach to that level. Yeah. So I could be doing my podcast for years and nobody would take it on. Yeah. Make me get Beyonce tomorrow. Yeah, right? Facts. Make me get Baby for a new tune tomorrow. And be like, yo, I've been watching your podcast years. Like, you was watching this years, you know?
I know I only had 5 viewers per
Exactly.
show. Yeah.
So for me, and you know, you're speaking about the analytics earlier. sometimes it was real challenging for me to sit down. And you and I have spoken about this. We have a live going on with Nadia Batson, and you wishing your numbers could be 3,000 people, but it might be just 400.
Yeah.
And even though 400 viewers is a lot of viewers, you still feeling yourself, yo, this should be doing more. You know, probably because I'm not in this circle and not doing more. And that is something I struggle with a lot, to the point where even coming on to the end of the seasons, I'm always fatigued. Because outside of working at the point in time, because I'm working, because I have a job, outside of doing that and trying to keep a DJ business running and doing a podcast at the same time, and other than my team of 4 people, 3 of them are busy, so I am like the main producer, sometimes editor for the programs. I have to set up my studio space, go and sit down, and then I want to have green screen, so I have to do all that, and I do it in my living room. So with all those things, I reach a point of burnout at the end of every season. And that is something that I still struggle with to this point. I think that is also why the seasons take so long to start back, because there are other things I wanted to do. Like, bro, I've had people say to me, you still DJing? What do you mean I'm still DJing? But I see you're doing the podcast thing now, so I don't know if you're doing the DJ thing still. It's like, but I've been doing that. So now I have to take time to put back effort into that and start to market myself as a DJ at the same point in time. I don't think people sometimes, unless you've lived it, could understand the challenge that it goes into, especially when you do have a big team of people. So I still face that challenge to this day, and that's why I say even now in taking the sabbatical that I've taken is, again, going through that mental judo, as I told Patrick about, where you're trying to figure out what is really the direction that you want to go and where you want to place your eggs in that basket and how far you want to go with this, what things you may have to leave behind and what things you may have to pick up. And that is a challenge that I still go through every day.
And believe me, especially because you said once you've gone through it, you could know how to appreciate or understand it.
Correct.
And I fully understand everything you're saying.
Yeah.
Because I'm doing it.
Yeah.
And it is tough.
Yeah.
Now, I guess to get into the Twitch part of things, because I loved as much as Instagram, it was annoying as hell. You had to restart every hour. And not just you, everybody else had to tune back in. And you may have the 400, but
it
then
wasn't a commercial break to say, I go and take a break from our sponsor. No, you just have to come off and come back on.
And when you had the 400 people.
Yeah, and when you start back, you go back to 100. It's like, oh, man.
It was frustrating. So now we've moved to a more stable platform.
Yeah. Twitch.
Talk to us about how you got into that, as well as the people that you've met through that platform and what that meant to you.
Well, this is where I would say I give you immense credit.
Okay.
Because I have myself coming down to the end of season 2 for the Creative Collective podcast. At that point in time, I have people asking me if I'm still DJing.
Yeah.
So I just did a whole season talking to Voice and Lyrical and all these artists. And these artists know me as a DJ. And people watching the podcast coming and ask me, hey, do you still DJ? It's like, so we go into a second lockdown in Trinidad, as the Prime Minister called it, a hard lockdown, which apparently in Canada you guys experienced for like forever. But
to say the least,
at that point in time, I remember saying, and you know what's so funny? We were going into season 3 of the Creative Collective podcast, and I had booked Destra for the launch. I still have that flyer on my phone.
Wow.
So I'm talking to the Queen of Bacchanal almost every other day now, because we want to line up things. It wasn't going to be live. It was going to be pre-recorded, everything. And the day that Destra and I were supposed to do pre-recording, that is when the Prime Minister announced total lockdown in the country. Everything is going to close. We're going to be on curfew from 6 to 6. Yeah. It was like doom and gloom. It was literally like Thanos came and snapped his fingers.
And honestly felt that way.
And I remember speaking to Destra that day, and Destra was like, I know we kept this commitment to do this thing, but to be honest, given what's going on right now, it's overwhelming. And it was overwhelming for me too. And the Sunday after that, I was like, you know what? I really love doing this podcast, but I also love to entertain with music. And I started seriously doing Twitch. Okay. And I credit you, because at that point you were heavy in it. So you were doing I Love Soca Mondays. something else in the week.
Fat Hub.
Fat Hub on a Thursday, which we have to bring back, but that's a different story.
We can leave that one.
No, we gotta bring it back. We gotta bring it back.
Oh God.
Fat Hub. Fat Hub. BuzzB pulling out doors and shit. Anyhow. Doors and shit. But yeah, that, and it's like, you know, I'm seeing you guys doing this like almost 4 times a week.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? Let me start picking up and doing this Twitch thing seriously. I was very happy to know that I was like the first guy in the Caribbean to do like this raid, which you are part of Hollywood HP, Judgment, Scratch Master, Private Ryan. Yeah. We had all these big names on this raid, the house party that Saturday.
Yes,
and we did that on a day when we went on a 24-hour curfew in Trinidad. So I remember people home literally messing each other like, yo, Private Ryan, song real good boy, who coming up next year? So it literally felt like a party. And from that Twitch experience, just having the ability to meet yourself and to actually get to know you on a different level, meet Judgment, and to be able to get to know him and his character on a different level. Going to New York, and even though Kevin Crown knew me, doing Kevin's Friday morning soca show because, hey, Kevin was on the raid and Kevin hear me play, and just being able now to connect with so many other different people that fast forward to a year later, Private Ryan stands up with me and says, yo, bro, I'm glad I see you doing your thing. I've been watching what you're doing on Twitch. I'm glad you're doing your thing, whatever, whatnot. So it really provided me with a platform to not just remind people that I still DJ, but also to be able to vent in a different way that I couldn't do during the podcast at that point in time. I actually built back a love for music. I have to say, I'm playing on doing those Twitch events and seeing people so engaged in it, talking about the birthday parties that we used to have on Wednesdays and whatever. It really brought back a love for music that I will not lie, I kind of lost during the pandemic because I didn't want to play music anywhere, because who wants to stand up in front of Instagram, you know, and play music? Who wants to do that? Like, I didn't really want to do that. Yeah. But actually getting back involved with it on Twitch, designing your show, like how you can design it with different backgrounds and whatever. Yeah, that totally blew my mind. So I've been very blessed by the opportunity. And I say I have to credit you for that, because it was you is like, yo, bro, you could do this, you could do that. This is what you could do to boost your show. This is what will make your show more entertaining. And just having that encouragement really helped me at that point in time where I was really emotionally challenged by what was going on in Trinidad.
As we all were.
Yeah.
And worldwide. It wasn't just, one place.
Yeah.
There was something I mentioned to you at that point in time too. I want you to shed light on, because you always make mention to it. Like, even in your interviews, you would make mention. I think you know what I'm talking about.
There is no Trinidad. Yeah. There is no Trinidad. Yeah, I rember.
There is no Trinidad online.
There is no Trinidad online.
All these people come and cuss me.
Yeah.
WDMC.
Yeah. I remember you telling me, because I was frustrated at a point in time, because as again, people in Trinidad and Tobago not all the time are willing to jump on something new, especially depending on who is selling it to them. If you have a big celebrity name, probably. That's
why everybody on Voices, IG Live, but who on Twitch.
And funny enough, I remember having a conversation with either Penny, and you probably wouldn't remember, but Major Penny, who's a very big part of Voices team, was like, yo, why don't you take this to Twitch, right? Because you and I know you can make money from Twitch. I'm sure it's some girl out there who willing to send bits for when Voice and them say we looking for Mama Bird and whatever. Some girl out there willing to do it, right? But I remember one person tell me, Shomari, we just had a success on Instagram and we just don't want to change, right? But you've seen the limited things that you can do with an Instagram Live. And as I say, Instagram Live doesn't have its own purpose. But at the same point in time, there's more that you can do with Twitch, right? So for me, I was frustrated on the fact that I hear putting out content and trying so many different things and nobody seems to be buying into it. Yeah. I remember you having a conversation with me and saying, you have to start to look at what you're doing on an international level and tell yourself, there is no Trinidad and Tobago in a virtual space. I want to make sure and say that. Yeah. There's no Trinidad again in a virtual space. And you were right, because some of the people who I've met, even the party that I did in Maryland last week, were people who tuned in to what I was doing on Twitch. Wow. And they were really impressed with not just how I was playing, but as the promoter told me, my professionalism, to how I put things to them and how I organize things for them, they were very, very impressed with that. There are people in Canada who have been like, yo, when you come into Canada, when can we see you in an event in Canada? That would have never happened if it wasn't for Twitch. So if I was sit down thinking home, somebody in Port of Spain, not looking at my life, as opposed to thinking there's a Sharzy Shah in London. There's a Sharzy Shah.
Hey. Okay, that's
There is a Sharzy Shah in London.
Next.
Who is looking at my life. But my point is, right? My point is.
So I call Sharzy Shah.
Oh my God, no.
Yeah,
but I just mean it in the sense that if there's somebody on the opposite side of the world that looking at what I'm doing, go where the love is, dog. Go where the love is.
That's a fact. And it's just to reinforce that you were constantly reflecting on that Twitch experience with how Trinidad was receptive to it.
Yeah.
And I've already learned in the months that I've done Twitch before I met you that, bro, there is a whole new world out there.
Yeah.
As much as, like, I think the first time I went on Twitch, I brought my party brand to Twitch.
Right.
So that brought a whole new demographic. You know how hard it, you do Twitch.
Yeah.
You know how hard it is to reach 100 people?
Yeah. It's very hard.
The first Twitch show I did had 100 something people, 110 maybe.
Wow.
Because I did my SOCA sleepover brand on Twitch.
Right.
But that was just the first instance.
You in your pajamas inside here?
Bro, before I figured out green screen and thing,
pajamas and
all pillows. I pretended there was a bed right there. I set up that whole thing.
Right.
But, I got that based off of my brand for that party.
Right.
But then when I constantly started developing shows, at the start, because I did it right, people were coming. But slowly you would see the numbers start to dwindle.
Yeah.
And that was in part because of my Toronto audience and relying on that.
Right.
And then dividing attention, you know how that goes.
Right.
But what I'm trying to say is that as time went on, I realized the raid system. I realized passing on your audience or getting raids, getting audiences from other people while you play.
Right.
And that it's not just Toronto anymore.
Right.
This is now the world locked in. Yeah. And the most beautiful part, as much as quarantine and COVID and all that had a toll on everybody and there was depression, the most beautiful part of that, in my opinion, was it literally made the playing field level. Wide open. It leveled the playing field.
Yeah.
There's no big boss anymore. Yeah, there was obviously people that had more viewership.
Yeah.
But there was no okay, if they did a show one day, my show would be screwed.
Right.
There's no thinking like that anymore.
Correct.
Now you have the world to broadcast to, and random people from all over the world will tune in. An amazing story that recently I saw on Instagram was from Jester. I don't know if you saw that story about what he did recently.
No, I didn't.
So, but you watched his shows on Twitch, right?
Yeah, Jester, yeah.
So he had the shows, the Friday Night Live.
Yeah.
But Jester being who Jester is, and that's why I mess with Jester, because he takes things to the next level,
right,
even when he doesn't have to.
Right.
And with those Twitch shows, he did Friday Night Lives and he spotlighted an individual artist.
Right.
But what he did was in the intro, he literally did like a little a video mix / it was like a DJ mix, a quick DJ mix with his skills.
Right.
But also videos of the artists going through that. It was like an intro.
Right.
But he did them so well and so professionally. MTV.
Wow.
Somebody from MTV was watching. Wow. He posted this the other day. This is Jester on Instagram. He posted somebody from MTV, one of the directors or whatever, was watching. DM'd him one day yo, we need to talk.
Wow.
He just did a intro video or a video or something like that for Cameron and some other artist for a show called Pimp My House or something like that.
Wow.
On MTV, bro.
Yeah.
That alone should show you what kind of reach being able to do what you do on the internet has. Because I'm sure 5-10 years of playing parties might have never got him that opportunity.
Correct.
But the online platform is what did it for him. And it saddens me, and I'm in part to blame too, but the online thing has now died down because outside's open back again.
Right.
But I feel like people don't have as much appreciation as we think for the music unless it comes attached to a party.
And this is why I will give Kevin Crown a lot of props.
Yeah, kudos.
Because he has been able to do a morning show Monday to Friday consistently, not just during the pandemic, but outside the pandemic now. I know obviously because of his international schedule, he'll be traveling more, he'll be doing more. But even coming to Toronto today, I pick up my phone on IG and I see Kevin Crown is live on Twitch. Yeah. So he's never let it go because he understands that this is what he was always a name. Yeah. But I think being on Twitch and now having chance to put production elements into it. And that's the next thing about this too, is that I was having this conversation with DJ Adam the other day. If you try to look at yourself as just a DJ alone, to play music alone, that is not going to cut it in the long run. It's not. Because if, for example, Private Ryan was comfortable with just playing in events and playing out SOCA Brainwash for Carnival, but he didn't have the idea, yo, I could actually start to produce. Yo, let me do my own events. Look at where that has taken him now. You give the example of Jester. I met Jester personally once in Miami Carnival last year. But two things I've heard about Jester. Yeah. One, he's a great DJ. And two, he can actually edit video very well.
He's one of the
best.
He's
a real good video editor.
Yeah.
So he has been editing his own stuff and doing it for himself. And now MTV has called him because of the work that he's done. So it just means to say that you have to now start to look at yourself as a diversified person. I always tell people, I hate to feel one-dimensional. Yeah. So anytime when I start to feel myself going down that route, I have to find something else to tag myself to. I think that's how I got into doing podcasting, because I just started feeling like I'm playing music and that's just not enough. I want to do something else. So I like to have good conversation. I think people value good conversation. So I want to be able to do that, you know, and that has now sparked into something else new. So you have to find different elements of your personality to put into different industries or different types of business that will help you grow that wealth, other than the one thing that you'll be really good at. So even if you're really good at music, you might also be good at art, you might also be good at something else. You might be good at fixing cars. You never know. But if you, like Selector Kerry from Trinidad, a lot of people don't know that Selector Kerry is actually a great electrician when it comes down to hooking up car audio. Oh, so he actually does his own audio. He's done so many different things for guys on car audio because Kerry could tune your car to sound immaculate. Yeah. Right? So if it is that he forgot that and stuck to just playing music, there's a whole different skill level that he has that he would put aside, that he wouldn't cultivate into something new. Yeah. I think a lot of times people have to find ways to cultivate different parts of their personality to build wealth for themselves.
And just know your strengths and play into it.
Exactly. But also to trying to figure out how to make your weaknesses not necessarily a weakness.
I think the biggest thing I subscribed to recently was paying somebody to handle your weaknesses, if you can. But, like, for instance, a weakness of mine is handling things a certain way.
Right.
And I'm getting to a point now where I'm going to have to pay somebody to do that for me because I don't like doing that.
Right.
And
because you're
being a boss,
because you're such a nice guy.
It's just how I was raised. Like, I don't have that in me.
Right.
Until you disrespect me.
Right.
I'm a completely different person at that point.
So we can pay the glizzy for that? Can the glizzy do that? No, I'm serious. Look, can we pay the glizzy for that?
No.
Can we pay the glizzy for that?
He doesn't need pay. He does that.
Exactly.
But I'm saying he can't do everything.
You know, I get with you and J Kitty, where you guys just remind me of Will Smith and Martin Lawrence from Bad Boy. Like, seriously, like, you guys are like bad boys.
So who am I?
You are more like Will, and the glizzy is like Martin Lawrence. Seriously, but and it's so funny because, like,
that's a good
but Martin Lawrence, like, Martin is short and Will, so it's like, it's strange to say that now. But is it true? Like,
and the craziest part, people think I'm short because I stand next to JKD.
No, you tall, bro.
And I thought you were short, to be honest, like, because of COVID.
Oh boy,
when I met him in New York, and I opened the door to the Airbnb, and I opened the door to go like this. When I had to go like this and look up, I said, "What? Shomari, you that tall? Okay." But yeah, people. Anyway, but the point of all of that, you know, is what you said.
Yeah.
Play into your strengths and delegate your weaknesses as much as you can. If you have to handle, and that's the part too. I have had to handle certain things recently because I've had to do it.
Or I will say if you can't delegate your weaknesses, you need to dedicate time to figuring how you could turn your weaknesses into strengths.
Facts.
That I would say.
Yeah.
And again, that sometimes is where therapy comes into play.
Yeah. You know, I always preach about this therapy thing, but I've never done it. How was your experience with it?
It's very revealing. I was telling somebody the other day that sometimes I think I'm really, really good. And I think one of the reasons why people don't like to do therapy is because when you have somebody break down why you might be doing something in a particular point in time and remind you, hey, you need to do this for yourself. A lot of times what we do in life are things to block out other things that are bothering us, right? You might be going through something real challenging, but you're drinking a lot of White Oak and you're partying a lot and you're smoking a lot of weed and
Cheers.
you know, you have somebody's daughter on Monday, somebody else's daughter on Tuesday, whatever, and you thinking that you living a good life, you know. Yes, sir. You like, yes, what?
We should take a next video, you know. Put your hands up again. Put your hands up again. You see, now he's saying no. Now he's saying no. You see him? You see him?
Put your hands up in the sky. No, but for real, like, you may think that you really living the good life, but when you actually, sometimes when you sit down in these silent moments of yourself and you actually take a moment to think about everything, that is when the gravitas of the moment just come on here. And there are certain things I learned about myself between last year and now that I would say I would not have gained from doing therapy. And it will always be odd, especially for some of my Caribbean friends, to hear me talk about this openly. But I still think that it's important because there are many things about myself I want to learn and improve on. As I said, I might not have the money to delegate, to pay somebody to delegate their weaknesses, but if I could get better at them personally for myself, then that means that in the long run, that's now something that turns into a strength. Yeah. So by actually deep digging into things in my past and figuring out these things, now figuring out why I do certain things that way. I remember having this conversation with DJ Puffy, who at the point in time in the pandemic, he was saying that the Barbados government was sending these creatives on something like, you know, they were trying to promote mental health. And he went to do a couple of sessions with a therapist. And I remember Puffy saying now and saying, yo, like, I figured out things that I did not know about myself. And I felt naked, but at the same point in time, it was good for me. That conversation is actually still on YouTube right now. Okay. You know, so the fact that DJ Puffy, who is an internationally acclaimed DJ, widely popular, Instagram is always lit. But at the same point in time, he could admit that he went to therapy and learned things about himself that he didn't know before. It just speaks to the fact that you always can grow as an individual. And even at the points in time when you may think you're good, it's good to actually understand the motivations for why you do some of the things that you do and what you might be blocking out and how you can fix certain things within yourself without you going through destructive behaviors to reach the point of, yeah, I need help.
So drawing back, I guess, to the initial meet with the counselor.
Right.
That's one thing that's a hurdle for me. Like, I can't conceptualize that I go into some room, sit on or lay on whatever however it works, sit on some couch.
Yeah.
Like, what's that icebreaker? Hi, my name is Steven. Okay, what's bothering you? Like, how was that? Like, explain that process of the initial meet and how it progressed.
For me, it was basically, I was telling my counselor at the point in time that I am at this point in my life, I want to make changes. I want to progress, but I think there are parts of myself that I need to work on. I am not sure how to do that. And I think that this is an avenue for which I could do that with. And mind you, that was not the first time I did. The last time I went into counseling and therapy was when I was going through a real difficult time. And again, as Caribbean diaspora people, you really want to hear that because as I tell everybody,
why you in therapy?
Why you in therapy? Why you going mad? You get horn. I'm TV. No, he's laughing. Basically, I'm get horn.
They speak like that. Yeah.
And as we said all the time in the Caribbean, We go into that for, boy, just go and drink our rum. Drink our rum and enjoy yourself, boy.
Yeah,
but for me, I wanted to, and I still want to figure out these parts of myself because I know I'm a different type of individual. Yeah. You know, I look at life differently, and my experience has built me to who I am right now. So I want to understand how these experiences have built me to this point and what I need to do to get to the next point in my life and challenge myself. That's the next reason why a lot of people don't do therapy, because it's mentally challenging yourself, which nobody really likes to do.
Yeah.
Like, nobody wants to get up anymore and say, I'm going to mentally challenge myself today to do this. Like, nobody want to do that.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
So where do you, you know, diverting past the therapy now, I'm glad to hear that you're going through that and dealing with your situation. Where do you think the state of our world is in right now? To break things down maybe to a more niche subject with our community, our industry. Where do you think the world is right now, and what is that doing to your mental health?
I think in some areas, and I was having this conversation with a friend of mine just last week, the people who didn't learn from the pandemic, they're going to have some success now, but it's going to be challenging for them to continue past that unless you have the resources to do it. As you rightfully said, I think that the virtual space has opened up a lot of opportunities for individuals. But I also think that you have to be honest with yourself of coming out of the pandemic. I've been making this point that I want to do the events that I want to do now. What is the difference with before the pandemic? If there was an event before that I really didn't want to do, like before the pandemic, you have events I don't want to do. Like, yo, you need to get on that event, Shomari, because if you don't get on that, you ain't say nothing. You ain't, you know, but if you don't get on that, boy, nothing going on with you. But, and I would spend weeks feeling horrendous, like, yo, yeah, I'm not on this event, boy. But now, I am glad to say that even with St. Lucia Carnival, book for Fusion Mass, big up to Fusion Mass.
Me too. Respect
book,
for that. Respect.
Right. Book for Fusion Mass. SOCA wrap up with CAT is growing, right? And there are other events that we involved in. Just did a party in Maryland last week, which was an event that I never thought I'd get booked on. I went to that event as a patron last year. Yeah. Paid, took video of Nadia Batson performing, used that video for my podcast earlier this year in my conversation with Nadia Batson. And the promoter reached out to me. He's like, yo, where's your fee? Right? And this had nothing to do with me. He never heard me play before. He just knew that in my podcast, I put a clip of his party, and he booked me for that event. Wow. So I now want to read, and I'm gonna take an example from you and your vision board, right? Yeah. I want to do the events that I want to do now, because I think that if I go back to fighting to put myself into places where the love is not, I'm going to frustrate myself. And that's something I would tell anybody. So yes, have a vision of where you want to play, have a vision of the type of things that you want to do. But if you feel that you're doing it just because the world telling you should do it, and that is what going to validate your importance because the world telling you it, then that might not necessarily be the right reason for doing that. Do it because you want to do it. Yeah. So if I want to do this event and I pray it out in the universe, it happens, I'm going to go there. If it doesn't happen, then that means that the universe has put me in other places where I've been able to reach lives in a particular way. And that is my mentality, which I'm still working on, that I want to push now going forward. To do the events that you want to do and go where the love is, which is what I've been saying since 2016.
That's huge. And a big part of that too is the fact that, you know, you get to certain places and you may be discouraged you're not there, but understand what that time apart from where you wanted to go did for you.
Right.
So for instance, COVID, like I was just telling you, I saw a post from By Far Mega.
Right.
And with him, he posted something about like right before quarantine, he had 5 international gigs lined up, like some of his first biggest 3 back-to-back international, flying here, flying there.
Right.
And he was excited. But COVID happened and he went into depression and he was about to quit. If you see this man now playing parties, like he's killing it.
Yeah.
So I say that to say, don't get so discouraged if you don't get what you want right away. Keep putting in the work, because maybe like this is the biggest takeaway I would say from the COVID for me. Everything that happened, this is bigger than the situation with Twitch,
Right.
bigger than me meeting Kevin Crown, me meeting whoever through Twitch.
Right.
The biggest takeaway I had was the second time we went under lockdown.
Right.
This was literally my birthday weekend.
Right.
The night of my party, they decided to lock down for a second time. So I had to move my party from the night to before midnight, the day of.
I remember that.
In order to have the party.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Bro, I was livid. And on my birthday.
Right.
What I'm saying is that night, I was frustrated, bro.
Right.
I was fed up. I didn't want to see nothing with music. Like,
yeah.
I was done.
Yeah.
Livid. And I was talking to you. Remember when me, you, and Judgment had the Zoom meeting?
Zoom meeting, yeah.
And I told both of y'all, you know, when sometimes you vent with people and you say something that, like, I didn't even think about that until I'm saying it now. I told both of y'all, I'm like, instead of being upset as to why we're in a second quarantine now,
what could you learn from being in the second quarantine? Right?
Or understand why?
Yeah.
From a spiritual standpoint or just a universal standpoint.
Right.
Why are we back under this?
Right.
There may have been something we didn't do the first time around. That God, whatever you believe in, the universe is putting us back into this.
Right.
To figure something out. And the second time around now is when I found out about investing and really paid attention to that. Before that, I was just an ignorant kid. I don't care about investing. I'll make mine. I'll be good. But really learning about investing and finding people like Earn Your Leisure on YouTube, that was pivotal for my career. Pivotal for my mind. Instead of thinking about like being a regular spending and just gallivanting and being irresponsible, being responsible and building generational wealth.
Yeah.
You understand? And that's where I got to the second time around. So even though I was about to be in a dark place and shut everybody out, I took the time to learn, well, why am I in this again? And naturally, I just found that. So that was big of what you said. Like, take those processes and understand that those times are valuable as hell.
Yeah.
Understand, well, why did I get rejected from that opportunity?
Yeah.
And then when you really think back, if you really go back and think about all of your rejections and what you did within that time, that was the universe putting you exactly where you needed to be.
Yeah.
And that's pivotal. So instead of looking at rejection as something that's bad, look at it as like, yo, this is needed right now.
That is something I think myself and a lot of people who will listen to this will constantly struggle with.
Yeah.
Because we all have visions to do great things in our own lives now.
Yeah.
But there's two things I'd say quickly to that. One, I always remember having this discussion with Patrick, the hype man. And one thing I would say is that even if it is that you in something and you decide to quit or let it go right now, know that you let it go for your own reasons to be comfortable with that. Because I remember having a conversation with Patrick during the point in time when you went on your sabbatical from public life. Were you going to wrap up with music? And he said, yeah, I was going to stop. I was just going to say, all right, that's it for the hype man. I'm not doing any more events. And he would have been cool with that. And I think a lot of times people, when they do things, they do it because other individuals, it's how it will look to other people. So if you as BuzzB tomorrow decide, yeah, I go and quit, people might, yo, why BuzzB quitting? What are you doing that for? But if you feel that your time has come to end and you want to move on to something else, do it for you. You know, that's how I feel. So before, as I said, if I don't get called for this party, that party, I sitting down home, livid, vexed, because this promoter not calling me. It's like, yo, I'll just do the events I want to do. And if I don't get to do this event, then life goes on, you know?
And that event that you're going to do could turn out being bigger than what you were hoping to get.
Exactly. And the other events that you do end up doing could be events that will bring a particular level of peace and joy for you that doing that other event might not have necessarily brought. And that's the second point I want to bring quickly. I always give the example of Robin Williams, the comedian, who everybody loved, was one of the most popular men in the world, killed himself, right? Yeah. And you say, now thinking, they said, well, how a guy so loved could go and commit suicide? Because even in doing things that he wanted to do, he wasn't happy. So you have to find that happiness internally within yourself, right? So you could play on the biggest event or the grandest stage, but if you're not happy with your own self, it will never be enough. So that is something in this mental judo. I'm going to continue using that term. If you want to hear anybody using that term, just remember you hear it.
Copyright,
right here,
trademark,
copyright, right? In that mental judo, I am all dealing with that. Like, the events that I want to do, the things that I want to do. How do I find internal happiness so that if I don't play on this stage or if I don't do this, I could still go to sleep at night saying I am happy with myself. That is something that a lot of people they don't necessarily know how to do. And if you could do that, I think you have won the battle in the long run for life.
That's for sure. That's absolutely for sure. Now we gotta touch on a couple more things before we get out here. And then we have a little quick speed round that we do with every special guest. Before we get to the speed round.
Right.
Changing gears right now. Let's talk about send nudes. Now, I tuned into your show one time.
God,
and I hear Shomari on Twitch asking everyone, hey, guys, send nudes, ladies, send nudes. Send nudes.
Oh my God.
I say, what is this man on right now? I'm trying to help him progress in his career. This man talking about send nudes. I say, Shomari, this is not why I was helping you with Twitch. Shomari. So talk about it. What was going on there? Because it was very clever. I know you have a innuendo to that.
There's a simple reason for that.
Yeah.
Walked into $5 store in Brooklyn, saw some $5 t-shirts. One said send nudes, NOODS, right?
Like noodles.
Send noodles. Decided to wear that t-shirt on a Twitch stream. Everybody's like, yo, I'm going to send you nudes. To this day, I haven't gotten nudes. I ain't asking for nudes. I mean, I ain't saying asking for nudes. But the bottom line is, it became a thing. And all of a sudden, everybody's like, hashtag send nudes from London to the fact where one of your followers, I can't remember her name on Twitch. She's like, hey, nudie. She calls me nudie. To this day, I haven't gotten any nudes, but, I ain't mad at you.
Nah, but I'm glad to see the Twitch platform did something for you. And
damn, all the chasers done.
Yeah.
Yo.
That's when the chaser finishes before the alcohol.
And we've actually reached half the bottle of white oak.
Yeah, look at that.
That's a good thing. That's a good night.
Yeah. But no, I'm happy to see Twitch worked out for you.
Yeah.
Especially after our conversations. And, hopefully it could continue to some capacity. It's just things busy right now.
Things really busy.
So let's get into our speed round.
Right.
Here on the People's Podcast before we get out of here.
Right.
Now, each week, besides the weeks that we have interviews, and we kind of pigeonhole a topic based off of our special guest. So this week, I would say you're the entertainment guest.
Right.
So we have 4 topics that we discuss on a weekly basis, which is relationships, wealth, health, and entertainment. So when I call each one, just say the first thing that comes to your mind with that. And if you want to give an explanation, you can. Right? So, first one.
This should be fun.
Relationships. Go, Shomari. People. Anyway, can I say this? I don't want to. Yeah, okay. Yeah. All right. Go ahead. Do your thing. Next time, huh?
What's the first thing that comes to mind?
Next time, huh?
So what's the first thing that comes to
when
mind?
When you come here next time, I'll...
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. What's the first thing that comes to mind with relationships?
Be honest with yourself. Be honest with yourself first.
I like that.
Be honest with yourself. Because when you're honest with yourself, it can translate into the type of relationship that you have for yourself. And sometimes it's very difficult to be honest with yourself when the future is murky. So for you to be able to have, I guess, the most successful relationship that you want to have, you have to be more, I would say even sometimes more honest with yourself than your partner. Because when you're honest with yourself, and it can translate to your partner, X, Y, Z, this is who I am, this is how I feel, this is what I want. You might find you have more success in the type of relationships you have, as opposed to just getting it because you want to have somebody. But be honest with yourself first.
I love that. That's big facts. Next, wealth.
It's not always about money. You could have the most money in the world but not be happy. At the same point in time, you could be broke and find wealth in other parts of your existence. I think building financial wealth means that you have to understand what you're building financial wealth for. And sometimes there are people out there who don't have the money, but they're the most happiest. And there are individuals out there who have a lot of money, like the lady who I was standing up in front of the airport when I was on the flight here. Yeah, and my mom is going to Paris, and I don't know why she's going there. And I'm so unhappy. It's like, I wanted to like, check your mom going to Paris. Like, first of all, your mom going to Paris. It's not like I barely could go to Toronto. Your mom, you complaining to your friend phone, and I have to stay in an Airbnb, and I really want to stay at this hotel. Why can't I stay there? Life is so horrible. It's like, yo. So even with that, right, she not happy, and she could go to Paris and stay in a hotel. So my thing is that sometimes money is not everything. It's important, but it's not everything. The idea of wealth to me is about happiness internally and externally with the finances that you hold. So yeah.
Very intellectual, brother. I appreciate everything you just said.
It's good to have the money, though. I just said, it's good to have the money.
So what I was going to say was money is the thing that gives you the freedom to do what you want. And that is realistically.
That is the realistic
That's
part.
wealth.
Yeah.
And recently I've subscribed to the fact that money is like the gateway to that.
Right.
Money is not something you just aspire to get, and that's the end goal.
Correct.
Money is the gateway to happiness.
Correct.
Wealth. Health.
Health. Your mental health is much more important than you think it is. I think a lot of people, like one of the things I don't do, and I told somebody this the other day and they laughed at me. I don't follow fitness influencers on Instagram or any platform because every single day they're gonna put up them in a tank top and a short pants. If it's a guy, is whatever it is he doing in the gym that I can't do, and if it's a girl, she obviously gonna be wearing spandex and she gonna be showing you her glutes. There are like 2 or 3 people I follow. And I follow because I know them personally. Like I've sat down, and there's this one person who I'll endorse here, Trini Tiffy, who I met. And we sat down, we had a conversation like on Zoom. And I got to know this person as an individual. It's like, yo, you are so down to it and your mind is so different from what you might necessarily put on Instagram. But all the people who were like, today I didn't feel to go in the gym. And I was so tired, but I went and I got in 10 reps of this, 6 reps of that, blah, 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 blah. It's like, yo, listen. And there's a whole group of individuals out there that feeling insecure about themselves. Meanwhile, even though your body on point, some of them, not everybody, some of them mentally and emotionally, they might not necessarily be in the correct place either. And I know that because I know some of them, right? So my point is that I'm not taking away from the importance of physical fitness because I endorse that. I train a lot, I exercise a lot, and that's also important. But I think your mental health is a very big part of your all-around health. And if that is something that you can feed and make sure is healthy every single day, it will actually go a very long way into ensuring that your physical health and other parts of your anatomy is well taken care of. And
I still follow some sexy spandex women, but not for the health.
I ain't mad at you. I've been to each
you see them on the treadmill?
Yeah.
Bum jiggle, that's what I feel.
Yeah. I ain't vexed at you. I'm not mad at anybody that does it.
Last but not least, entertainment.
And when we say entertainment, we mean it in what way?
So the purpose of bringing it up on this show is entertainment that evolves your level of thinking. Right. And entertainment, you could even take it as entertainment, just regular and what that does, Sometimes everybody just needs the kicks. They don't always need education.
Right.
But entertainment, from the basis of this show, we like to look at it from the light of what it could do to help you.
I would then say, I would encourage everybody to break out of your comfort zones of the things that entertain you on a constant basis to find other things that may entertain you that you would never know that you were interested in, right? Just because you are accustomed listening to one DJ all the time, nobody's saying that is your favorite DJ. Doesn't necessarily mean that if you listen to another DJ, you're going against that DJ that you know you're just giving somebody else a try, which would mean that you're getting your entertainment from another source. Or just because you're accustomed watching one particular type or genre of movies, or you're accustomed doing this and this is what you're known for, it doesn't necessarily mean that if you open up your mind to something else new, you're going to lose out what you'd have gained for all those years before. So one of the things I've been going through in the mental judo process now is trying different things that I really would have never tried before, just to see how I feel about it. And nothing wrong with that. Like, nothing wrong with just trying new things to know what sticks and what you do like and what you do like. And you might find things that will surpass the preconceived notion of what you had from it before. And in terms of entertainment and entertaining yourself, you'd be surprised how learning new things and exposing yourself to new things would actually benefit you. I will tell you something which will sound real strange on this podcast.
Let's do it.
Right?
What's that?
One thing that's entertained me in the last couple of months has been Crocs. I'm dead serious. He would have never expected that. Yeah. Like, I go into DSW now, I look at Crocs. And I'm
Shomari, you're real disappointed me. No.
I'm entertained. I'm entertained by finding the right pair of Crocs to wear for the right
Shomari,
event,
we were going
to
good.
go on a flight. No, I dead serious with that.
We were
dead
going
serious.
so good. I was so intrigued.
And this is a minor thing.
Let's take off everything. Shomari,
This
we
is
was
a
going
minor thing.
so. I was about to give you the biggest big up
No, this
for everything you were talking. The man bring up Crocs.
Look, hold on.
You like women in Uggs, don't you? You like women in Uggs?
Hold on. Here's the psychology behind the Crocs.
Shomari, I don't want to eat.
Here's the psychology behind the Crocs, right?
Oh God.
All my life, I've hated Crocs. I found that they were the ugliest thing, right?
Yes.
But I had the opportunity to wear a pair just on accident for 15 minutes the other day. And I will tell you, that was the most comfortable walk I had from the boat ride to my car, right? So even if it wasn't for me being engaged in that comfortable pair of Crocs, the pointy fact is that something new I was exposed to actually was like, yo, this might actually make my life better. The whole philosophy is not about the Crocs. The psychology of it is not about the Crocs, but it's about trying to come out of your comfort zone to give yourself something new to try that you probably had a preconceived negative notion on, because it might make you a better person.
You see all these big
some
words?
point in time. No, this is not. Hold on.
The man say he drink too much rum, you know.
This is not the white talk talking.
Yeah, Angostura.
This is
Relax
not
yourself,
the white
please.
talk talking. However, if white talk wants to sponsor this podcast, DJ_BuzzB on Instagram, right? But the point I'm making, the bigger point I'm making is that
I tuned out 5 minutes ago. But go ahead.
exposing the bigger point I'm making, exposing
Yeah,
yourself
yeah.
to things that you may have had a negative preconceived notion about to grow your understanding of life in total may expose you to something new that may be beneficial to you that before you would have locked off. And we have a whole generation of people that don't do more because in their mind, I don't like this. Why I don't like it? Well, I know. Well, try something new. And if after trying it, you still don't like it, well, you know to yourself that is not something that was for you. You would never know something is for you unless you try it. And that is what I'm doing right now. Mental judo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love all of that except the Crocs.
Except the Crocs. Well, sounds
I'm
fine.
sorry. I don't.
That-
Shomari, don't ever let me hear you say that again, okay? Anyway, I'm just kidding around.
Come in tsunami and Crocs.
Yeah. No, Shomari.
No, I come in.
You will see
buying a special
water
Crocs for
bottles,
tsunami.
water balloons fly into your head, you
Actually,
know.
no. I come in SOCA sleepover in Crocs.
Oh, God.
I could do that.
All right, that's fine.
Right.
That's fine.
SOCA
I'll
sleepover
allow
in
that.
Crocs. Right.
I would even take them ugly new Yeezy slippers over them Crocs.
That's
The thing that look like alien shoes.
Nah.
I would take that over Crocs. Anyway, we just joking around. Last but not least, let me outro this. And it's a story I wanted to share before we get out of here.
Story time, people gather around.
Story time. Gather around. Gather around. Now, I may not have remembered the exact date of November 17th, 2020. But what I do remember is being in my living room on the couch, being right here in the studio on the chair, looking at Instagram and seeing this random person I've never knew about interviewing this top tier DJ artist, etc., etc.
I think that was Willie Chin.
No,
No, it wasn't Willie Chin. We didn't reach Willie Chin, brother.
many of them, but
Right.
it was from what I remember, Puffy,
Yep.
Kevin Crown,
Yep.
back to basics,
Yep.
and then I was like, yo, this guy knows all of them.
Right.
So then I started paying attention to who you were. But this is a lesson to take away from the people listening, right?
Mm.
I saw all of those things, and my initial feeling to that was, yo, one, I can't wait to get to a day where I'm as important enough for somebody like him to want to interview me like that in that lineup.
Right.
And two, a part of me, as anybody would be, is like, well, why hasn't he linked me? You know? And again, you don't even know me.
Right.
So I had to go through that thought process and eliminate that part. But it boiled down to eventually I want one day for him to reach out to me.
Yeah.
But, and the point of why I'm saying this is because after doing all those things, I had to sit back and say to myself, you know what? Instead of working so hard to get to the point that he interviews me, hey, I have a podcast.
Correct.
Why don't I just interview him?
Correct.
Everybody's so quick to say what, like, things to be done for me. What could be done for me?
For me.
Come out, reach out to me, come to me.
Yeah.
No, instead of that, I transitioned my mindset. What was the word the judo?
Mental judo.
I had that. And I said to myself, I have a podcast. This guy is clearly well-spoken. He has a story to tell. He's always interviewing people. Maybe he would like to be interviewed. Messaged him, answered. I don't know nothing about no Shomari, KRL, no Redymix DMT. I don't know anything.
Right.
I just said, this guy's interviewing people. Let me try a thing. Messaged him. That turned out to be one of the greatest relationships I've built over the quarantine.
I agree with that.
Right? And that is just one aspect of it. We message each other on a random day just to talk, just to, bounce back and forth ideas. But that's just one aspect of it, which I wasn't even expecting that. I wasn't expecting anything. I just wanted to interview him just to try a thing.
Yeah.
That not only built into a bond between Shomari and I, but Shomari, I had the Twitch partner wedding.
Yeah.
If anybody was on Twitch that remembers when I married my Twitch partnerisha.
And then leave her 2 days later, but that's a different story.
But yeah, leave that alone. Forget she. I had to use Johnny Depp's lawyers on her. But anyway,
all right, Jack Sparrow.
Yeah. So what happened now is he DJ'd on that raid for my wedding.
11 o'clock in the night.
11 o'clock in the night.
11 in the
And
night.
one thing that he said in that wedding, it stood out to me so much and was what I'm trying to express here, which was, he said, BuzzB doesn't even know this, but I am well connected in St. Lucia and I will be bringing him to St. Lucia.
Yes, I did say that, yeah.
So I didn't do all of that for that.
Yeah.
But you guys would be surprised at what kind of connections you could make by, instead of thinking, well, what can they do for me? When can they do it for me?
Yeah.
How can they do it for me? What can you do for the other person? And seeing what that blossoms into.
Yeah.
And not only that, I booked you for both of my Caravana parties, Caravana weekend.
Yeah.
So that's a connection now you have in Toronto, which is the biggest city in Canada, one of the biggest cities in North America when it comes to this. And it just turned into a mutually beneficial friendship, relationship, business partnership, all that kind of stuff. So I say that to say, people just have those, mentalities in your head, the judo, have all of that. Think about, well, what can you do for somebody and see how it blossoms. I'm not saying that situation is going to happen every time, because it doesn't. I've done what I did with Shomari to other people. Now I can't get a text back. But sometimes it could turn into something that will literally change your life. And I am going to one of the hottest, fastest growing carnivals thanks to this man right here. At least thanks to you this year.
Yeah.
Because I may have eventually reached, but I'm doing it a lot quicker now because I have a connection. And before we go, I just wanted to thank you for that. And, likewise, I got your back. I'm not one-sided. I don't just take. I booked you on both events.
Yeah.
Tonight, we go into a party. I already spoke to the promoter. I said, yo, my boy Shomari's coming from Trinidad. I don't know if you know him or not, But, you know, if he could touch the mic for a certain point of time in my set, maybe even the second half or something, so I give you what you paid for, but my boy could get an opportunity to feel the crowd.
Yeah.
I've done that. And that, like, good-hearted people will always progress in the right direction. And, you know, I just want to say big up to you. I appreciate what we've built from the time I met you November 17th, apparently.
November 17, man.
2020 until now and beyond. You understand?
Yeah.
So, the People's Podcast, we want to thank you, Shomari, KRL, Redymix DMT.
Thank you for having me on the podcast.
Anytime, and this won't be the last. This is...
It's funny because I honestly never thought that we'd actually be like this.
Exactly.
This is really strange. When I post this on Instagram, I know what I'm going to post about this. But, yo, I'm really, really glad we've been able to do this. And here's to, we'll have no more white oak in this cup. But,
cheers, same way. Cheers,
same way. Cheers, same way.
So, we're about to do our thing this weekend here in Toronto, and we're vibing.
Driver, we moving?
Last
Driver?
she probably sleeping. Last little piece, is there any last words you want to tell the people?
I think the greatest thing to take out of this conversation, other than buying Crocs,
Shomari,
seriously.
I will take back.
Seriously,
I will delete the last 5 minutes if you repeat.
But seriously, I think the biggest thing to take out of this conversation. Think today about what you could do for someone else before you do it for yourself. That doesn't necessarily mean you have to do it for the person that you want to make an impact on, but it could be somebody who needs you in a particular way. So think today about what you could do for somebody else first before you do it for yourself. And let the universe bring what you want back for you.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Now let the people know where they could find you on socials.
Right. Shomari KRL on Instagram, Shomari KRL on Facebook, Redymix on Twitter, Redymix DMT on Twitch, Shomari KRL as well on TikTok. I just started using TikTok and I'm annoyed by it, but it's actually quite entertaining. TikTok will keep you up at 5 o'clock in the morning, for real.
You know, JKD, that man turned into a 15-year-old girl overnight. You know? He doing real TikTok.
No, TikTok will do that to you. TikTok will do that to you,
bro.
For real.
I was posting some stuff and I got some engagement. It wasn't crazy.
Yeah.
Maybe like a few hundred. Almost 1,000, over 1,000.
Right.
I posted one the other day, and I guess I did it right.
Exactly.
Towards the algorithm.
You have to do it right. You have to
Bro,
do it right. Yeah,
it just touched 20,000.
Yeah.
I said, wait, that's what's going on? Okay, let me figure this out.
Yep.
But JKD done turned into a 15-year-old girl on TikTok. He posted like, and he know what he doing, you know. You know the robot lady in the back?
Yeah.
This is what JKD was doing today. Now, last but not least, before we get out of here, the interviews that you've done.
Right.
You know, there's many interviews that I highly recommend listening to these because the ones that he's mentioned, the ones he's even forgot to mention, were incredible interviews and shed light on superstars within our industry that you will not see anywhere else. So let the people know where they could find those interviews.
Well, during the last couple of months, we tried to migrate all the conversations that we had to one YouTube channel right now, which is the Creative Collective Podcast. So they can find all the conversations from season 1 up to season 3 at the Creative Collective Podcast on YouTube. Also, there is a Creative Collective Podcast channel on your favorite podcasting app. So even if it is that you can't watch it on YouTube, you could get it on iTunes, on the Apple podcasting app, or you could get it on Spotify as well too. Because I wanted to make it available for people to be able to listen to in addition to look at it. Yeah. So if you want to find all the conversations that we had from Second Star, who was the first, to the Christian artist who we had just at season 3, which was the last episode that we had, on YouTube, you can find the Creative Collective Podcast, or on your podcasting app, which is Google, Spotify, or the Apple Podcast. So,
beautiful. Shomari, Redymix, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, brother.
Because it's been it's going to be a weekend you're here?
A weekend I'm here.
And you decided to take about half a day to deal with this. And I appreciate, because I know how that is.
Yeah.
You going somewhere a weekend, you want to visit thing. And have you been to Toronto before?
No.
This is your first?
First time flying to the airport with all the wind and the plane nearly.
It's not usually like that. No. That's a different.
This is my first time in Toronto.
Got you. Okay. No, well, I'll show you around. I'll let you know what's going on. Yeah. We appreciate you, bro. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, man.
People's Podcast. Thank you guys for listening. We appreciate you for being here, and we'll see you next week on another episode. Just make sure to follow us wherever you're listening or watching right now. We're on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, and Google Podcasts, and even more. But you can hit the link at the PPLS, the People's Podcast _ on Instagram. Hit the link in that bio, and you could see all the places you could follow us. Thank you guys so much. We appreciate you. And we'll see you on the next episode of the People's Podcast. JKD normally says peace.